Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Clobbering Times, issue number 159 overall. Of course, 859 forever. Show number 859 with a little Wednesday night special for you tonight. Hopefully Flash will be here soon to join me for our little countdown. We don't have the same kind of time constraints we used to have over there on BTR, fortunately. So he should be up on his way. And until then, I'll do some show notes and stuff. Let me shoot him another message just in case. I'll tell him I'm ready. Just in case he didn't get my last one. So he'll know. Yeah, that was not this one. Anyway. So there we are. So how is everyone tonight? Great to see you all. It's amazing. Always amazing to be here to see all you fantastic, wonderful people. And I hope we get, hey, who's here is fine with me, but I hope other friends show up later. We'll see. What are some show notes we can take care of while we're waiting on the Flash? My buddy Flash, for those who don't know, of course, is from the old school Blog Talk Radio days, rode shotgun with me many a time. And we've had so much fun doing shows together. We've done this list thing before. But before we get to that, tomorrow the Global Geek Gang shall gather. Once again, that will be 1 p.m. Central Standard Time in the afternoon. The Global Geek Gang. We'll geek out. We're going to do some, not so much theme related. We'll talk about some comics, of course. We'll talk about some British science fiction and some other things and do some recommendations and show some pictures and do a little show and tell and all that kind of fun stuff. Because it's how we roll here. And then, of course, let's see here. Saturday night, my wonderful, magnificent first officer, the amazing RM Raquel Briggs, and I will be starting, really, I guess, leg 3 of our ongoing mission to explore, aka review, Star Trek, real Star Trek only, all of Star Trek, 66 through 05. We, of course, got finished with the original series, then moved on to the animated series. We just finished that last week. What a great crowd we're getting, by the way. We just appreciate you all so much. It has been so much fun doing this. And now, this week, we will start with the original cast films. We'll do 2 each week, although it's an added bonus because of the motion picture. We'll do the theatrical version and the director's cut. We'll talk about both of that. And, of course, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And then, just can't wait to do that. We're having just so much fun. Again, if you're a Star Trek fan and you love real Trek, 66 through 05, because I'm going to review all the series, all the films and series of the real deal Trek, you should think about joining us because I think you'll have a great time. I know we do. And we have so much fun with all of you here. So, again, we can never thank you enough for all the great just interaction that we have with you for the show. So that is, of course, Saturday night, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And, yo, bro.
Hey.
What's up, man? Good to see you. Good to see you, buddy. I was just doing a few show notes here before we say some hellos and get going.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have the kind of time constraints we used to have over at the old BTR anyway. So
the old one.
The old school, the old ones. Yeah. So anyway, everyone, yes, Saturday night Star Trek with Raquel and I again, starting on the films now. We've just having so much fun. So thank you all for who's been joining us for that. It's been great. And then one final announcement. And this is way in advance because Marvel Comics will no doubt not adequately celebrate the world's greatest comic magazine, my beloved Fantastic Four. I've decided to do it. It's the 60th anniversary, of course, and August 8th is the actual 60th anniversary to the day the Fantastic Four #1 was released. That's going to be a Sunday, 4 p.m. The Global Geek Gang, I shall gather them for a special Fantastic Four celebration because they're Marvel's first family. They're the reason there is a Marvel Comics right now, and they should be celebrated, and Marvel doesn't know how to do it, so we'll do it for them. What's going on, bud?
Not much. What's up, man?
Oh, not much. How you feeling today?
Good. Good to be here.
Well, it's good to see you, bro. Let's see here. Now, say a few quick hellos to our friends who have popped into the chat. We hope other friends will be there. J-Man had to run, he said, but shout out to you, J-Man. I hope you will, again, really enjoy your channel. Of course, there's a link to his and the channels of many other good friends here on YouTube in my description below, everybody. So J-Man had to run. Snorter Poopas Q-Bar, what's up, buddy? It's always a pleasure to have you here, my friend. Appreciate you. The snort. JT Kirk, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Oh, Palamies, Minion, and Pupper. Good to see you, my dear. Thank you for stopping in tonight. Dad, man, walking 55, buddy. How you doing, man? It's good to see you. Good to see you. D-Bud. The great D-Bud Martin, buddy. Fellow comic shop owner, bro. Eric Case will be here at some point probably to pick on us, as he always does. I hope so. Phantom Outsider, what's up, bud? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Let's see who is here. The great Mark D with a C. What's up, buddy? All right, man. Janet from another planet. Love that name. Love you. Thank you so much for being here, my dear. Great to see you. Pat S. What's up, buddy? From my neck of the woods. All right, man. Good to see you, bub. See here who we got. And I think that's Ironcaster. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Hope to see you tomorrow on the Global Geek Gang, man. A member of the Global Geek Gang right there, as is Mark. So looking forward to that tomorrow. And I'm joined here tonight, as I've said earlier, by my great friend Flash. As you can see, his name is Carrie Fisher, but I call him Flash because he used to do a show on our old stomping grounds of Blog Talk Radio called Flashback, and that's the name I gave him. And he's so proud. Well, maybe not. It's stuck. Well, for me anyway, I call you that. Maybe nobody else does, but I do. That's all that matters, right? So, I'm Clobby now, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, you got a new name.
Yeah, that's my fault, by the way. I got to admit. So anyway, yeah, Mark T. Yeah, right. So one of the things that we've had a lot of fun with over the years, since in the 12 years I've been doing this, and in those years that Flash would ride shotgun with me, is we like to have our little top 25 countdown lists that we would do. Various.
And Claude loves them too.
Claude loves them. I already told him about it. Yeah, I told him about this one today. He likes Claude. Minimus likes to make fun of us for doing lists. So anyway, but we love doing it. We have a lot of fun, and we came to a point. We did so many of them, man, right over the years.
Yeah.
On BTR, we ran out of ones to do, I think. But I usually hate remakes, but in this case, it's a whole new venue. So we had done this one in maybe, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years, whatever it is.
It's been a long time, yeah.
Long time. So it's
things have changed.
Yeah, times change, and no one here knows about it. And I can't put those shows on here anyway because they have music on them and all that stuff. You get copyrighted, and get in trouble anyway. Right. Yeah, I only put one of my shows from BTR on here. That's on here as a video. One I was interviewed with. I was fortunate enough to interview the great Doomcock. That's on here, and hasn't gotten copyright stricken yet. But there we go. So, but you can't do too many. I can't push it. I get in trouble. But even though I'm not monetized yet. And by the way, I hit over 900 subscribers yesterday, and then I dropped right back to but I dropped right back down again to the 899. YouTube's screwing with subscribers.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe
they dropped. Mad. No, I've been over 900 before and then lost them. They scrub. Yeah, well, really? Yeah, I probably did make somebody mad, but they keep saying that they're scrubbing spam accounts and stuff like that. That's their excuse. They don't like monetizing people like me. So what are you gonna? So anyway, everyone, we're going to get on to it in a second here. What we're going to do is, in our traditional format, is we're going to count down from 25 down our favorite movies. And remember, bear in mind, as these are favorites lists.
Yeah, it's not a best.
Well, yeah, I mean, people, you see these best lists all the time out there. Yeah. And of course, even those are subjective, but they're voted on, and 100%. You have all other. Yeah, well, yeah, and they're voted on. They're by committee. They're,
right.
They're all this kind of stuff. This is just an opinion list.
The personal favorite.
Yeah, that's true, JT Kirk. It is about time I was called Clobby. But yeah, these are personal favorites, and one of the things I'm happy about is that I was always the one, and this is still the case for me, to tell Flash, like when we would go into one of our 25 lists, I go, man, that was brutal. I couldn't pick them all.
Yeah,
I mean, it was tough to only be able to pick 25 for that one. And he's always like, no trouble, you jackass. You know, I was like, nah, there's no biggie. But even he struggled on this one, you know,
Yeah.
because there's
This
so
was
many.
tough. There's
Dude,
too many.
yeah, I mean, you can 100. So there are
So
a lot of
many I had
films.
to leave off.
Oh God, yeah, and they're going to be films on our list that you can, or are you going to see the list and go, how is that not on your list, or how is that? Well, it's just a
Yeah.
personal list. It's just a personal list. But some of them you might name. We would go, well, look, I love it, but it was tough to put it in that 25, that golden
Right.
25. You know, it's
A
just
lot of
so,
these, yeah, a lot of these when I was making them, realized that it's some of them have like a personal connection, so that bumped
oh yeah,
some movies. You know, there's something. It was at a certain point in your life, or you saw it with somebody, or something. You know, which bumped some really great ones off my list. I'm like, well, I got to have this one for this reason. So yeah, it sucked, man. It was brutal.
yeah, yeah. It is. It's tough to pick them all, to single them down to 25. It really is so tough to shave that list down. There's so many films. I just wanted to switch around and stuff like
Right.
that, whatever. It's, you know, but finally you have to settle on it because that's part of the fun of the challenge anyway. So,
You know what happens when you start messing with it too much?
yeah,
You're like, oh, I'm gonna move this here, and I'm gonna move this there, and then you're like, oh shit, what did I have there?
I know that happened to me.
But then I realized, you know, until I start getting high in the list, I'm like you. Until I start getting into the top 5, the order is not really that significant.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just, you know.
I say this a lot with whatever the list is. I probably don't love, you know, number 15 that much significantly more than I love number 22 or whatever,
Right.
but they're close. I love them both. If it's in this top 25, we love it.
Yeah.
You know, so, and our
5
list,
is when it gets serious.
yeah, when you get into that top, I mean, even the top 10, but yeah, definitely top 5 or 6. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Even though, yeah, for 5 year, I think 5's a good number for that. And here, another thing is, everyone, look, these are going to be, we have the most, these are diverse. You like diversity? A lot of diversity here because our list, there are only a few that we have the same movies on. There are a couple of the same movies on it. But, and the thing is, mine is going to be, you're all going to laugh at me about what a 12-year-old I am because my list is ridiculously geeky.
Mine's not that mature either.
Mine is totally immature. You're not going to see these lists from they got Citizen Kane and they got Bergman films on and all this other kind of hoity-toity, arty-farty crap. Well, not here, folks. This is clobbering times for a reason. You got a lot of geekness to look forward to tonight. Yeah, but you know, but still, I'm proud of the list. I love it. So let us proceed, I suppose, right?
Let's proceed.
Bop, bop, bop. Okay, now let's see here. Without further ado, whatever you call it, we're about to start. So, Flash. Flash, start with your number 25 all-time favorite film. Go.
My number 25. I think I saw it like on a late movie the first time. I think it was like a late show or something, and I'd never heard of this movie before, and. You remember back then, you had like 3 channels. You had ABC, CBS, NBC, and a couple of independents. So, and when you're a kid, you kind of end up stuck on a movie maybe you probably weren't going to be that interested in. And I ended up, you know, getting stuck on this movie, and I loved it. And it's called Play Misty for Me with Clint Eastwood. And it is one of the most terrifying movies I've ever seen in my life. People talk about The Exorcist and talk about this. This movie's scary. This movie is just terrifying. But Clint Eastwood plays a disc jockey in Carmel, I think it's Carmel, California. And he gets this call from a listener, and she's always, you know, play Misty for me.
Mm-hmm.
And she invades his life. He ends up sleeping with her one night, and she just takes things too far and begins to become really possessive of him. It's kind of the original Fatal Attraction, I guess.
Yeah, like D-Bud says, the original Stalker film.
I guess it's the original Stalker film.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where this crazed woman attacks his housekeeper. with a blade, and it's just horrifying. But the movie's like super suspenseful. It's really well made, and I just love it. So Play Misty for me is my number 25.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Let's see here. I don't think, you know what? I don't think I've seen that in a long time. Wasn't Jessica Walter?
Yes, yeah,
Plays,
she played the nutcase stalker
yeah.
girlfriend.
She's been in
Yeah,
a lot of stuff too. A lot of like mainstream stuff, but she's really good in that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's such a well done movie. It's like I mean, it's truly one of the most suspenseful movies. You know, and I really like Fatal Attraction too. I think Fatal Attraction is a good movie too.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I had to pick between Fatal Attraction and Play Misty for me, Play Misty for me it's got so much style, and it's got that 70s vibe to it, and it's Clint Eastwood at the height of his power, and it's just so good. So if you've never seen it, give it a shot. So yeah, Play Misty for me. Can't think of the year, but it's 70s.
Oh, I did not search the years on yours, but it was 70s. You're right. It was also kind of like a different kind of role for him too.
Very different. Yeah, he was mostly for crime
Tough
dramas,
guys.
Dirty Harry, things like that, and
Right.
westerns. And yeah, so yeah, this was a complete departure for Eastwood, and it's so good. It's just so good. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I'll think about it once in a while. And
Yes.
I don't own it. It's one of those movies I don't own, so I just kind of have to catch it when I can. But a lot of these movies I own, but I'm not sure why I own that one. Probably because it's difficult to find. But I really love it a lot. Really scary.
Yes. Absolutely.
I'm a big horror fan, and this isn't your typical horror movie. I don't know if you'd classify it as horror.
I don't know.
It's more of a suspense, thriller, but it's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to go back down to the kindergarten for my 25.
Nice.
My number 25 is Tron. Steve Lisberger's Tron. This movie just absolutely captivated me in 1982. As an 18-year-old kid, I just fell in love with the not just with the visuals, of course, are easy to fall in love with because they were stunning for the time. And again, in pre-CGI days for the most part. I know they use computer type technology, but still, there was a lot. I mean, still a lot of it was practical effects. If I'm, with and groundbreaking in its effects and everything. But that's, to me, I just love the whole concept of the whole computer universe and that micro universe and stuff. Just one of the most dopey, fun films that I've ever seen in my life. Dopey in the sense, in a good way, I mean, of course, because it's just a goofy idea that works because you had the world of the users of the gods, the computers of the manipulate the programs being manipulated. I think a lot of films kind of took things from that little later in terms of godlike beings and things like that. But not a whole lot to say about it because everyone knows about this. When everyone knows Tron, everyone's heard of it. I've always loved it, even the video games later, of course. So
I hated that video game because it was too hard.
I loved it though.
It was too hard, man.
Yeah. Look at Pat.
I'll admit it.
Pat S. I was cool. I was hoping at least a few talkies would make your list. Virtual smack upside the head for Pat. So yeah, but I've always loved this film, and again, Bruce Boxleitner.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Oh, dude, I went to the theater. I can't tell you how many times in '82.
Yeah, I did too. I remember I went once, and I haven't seen it in forever.
I went many times and watched it on TV many, many times. So I love me some Tron. But again, that's what you get with me, folks. You get kid stuff, and I love it. I mean that in the best possible way. Number 24, bud.
Nothing wrong with kid stuff.
Of course not.
Kid stuff is fun.
We love it.
This is one of those movies where I said ranking doesn't matter because in reality, if I were really strict, it would be a lot higher. But it's just at the point that I thought about it, ended up at this point. But I actually like this movie a lot more than a 24 slot, and it's Alien from 1979, which really, honestly, was a movie that I didn't care for the first time I saw it. Didn't like it. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I was expecting something else, but the first time I saw it, I was not in love with it. and it took a second viewing to really fall in love with it. And I guess to pay attention to the set designs and the costume designs, and to really get over the initial shock of it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Not sure what I was expecting, but the second time I saw it was when it really, you know, connected with me. I'm like, oh, it's a haunted house movie in space. You know, it's a monster movie in space, and it's just so. There's going to be some horror pops up on my list. I'm a big horror fan, but I'm kind of picky about it. Like, not a lot of stuff scares me. But Alien, yeah, that creature design is just incredible, and still holds up to this day. And like you said, practical. It's a practical effect, and it's much like the shark in Jaws. You don't see a lot of it, so a lot of the creature is left to your imagination. And it's one of those movies to where it doesn't beat you over the head with things like the alien will be there the entire time it's seen, and you just don't realize it until it moves, because it blends into the background. And as you're watching the movie, you don't realize it's in the same room until it moves, and it just sends shivers down your spine. And one of the most horrific scenes ever, the chest bursting scene.
Yes.
Spawned many sequels, which I'm infamously not a fan of. So it's always the original for me. So yeah, Alien is my number 24.
Well, I hate to disappoint you, Pat S. And we're not going to get far into it. When we did our most hated movies list,
yes,
Aliens was on there. He wanted both of them, Alien and Aliens. But Flash is not a fan of Aliens. But we won't go into that.
I am not.
That's another show that we did back in, I don't know, like November or whatever. Or October.
Yeah.
But that's one of the scariest films ever made. I mean, it's really, and it's what at the time, how many films had ever had that kind of setting for a basic,
right.
And yes, horror film, sci-fi horror, but a horror film for sure.
Yeah. And it's so, it's so unpredictable. As the movie goes along, the last thing you predict is that Ripley will be the last one standing. It turns that genre on its head. It's you think it's going to be Tom Skerritt. He's going to be the hero of the movie. He's going to defeat the alien. He's going to be the last man standing. And it's kind of the first movie to do the last girl. You know what I mean? It's a staple in films. It's the final girl. And this is really the first time we had the final girl. And you don't see it coming. You do not see it coming. The character does not stand out immediately as one that's going to make it, and she's the only one that makes it. And it's so good. It's done so well. So I love it.
Yes, indeed. And Janet from Another Planet, Fright Night is also one of my favorite films as well.
Me too.
It killed me to leave it off.
Same here.
But I love it. And that's spoilery, I guess, but yeah, I do love the film Fright Night, the real one, not the remake, of course. My number 24 is The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. I love that long title. And I love this film. Peter Weller is Doc Savage, is a rock and roll Doc Savage with one of the craziest. It's considered a cult film. Fair enough. It only played a couple of weeks in 1984 when I went to see it. I only got to see it a couple of times. I've been reading about it in Starlog magazine at the time. But just an insane, off-the-wall science fiction, fantasy, adventure, comedy, you name it, it's that. And I love Buckaroo Banzai unreservedly. Great soundtrack, even though for the longest time it was never put out. They never put a soundtrack out here for some freaking reason. And Buckaroo and the Hong Kong Cavaliers. I was such a nut for this film that I even joined the fan. There was actually a little fan club. The Blue Blazer regulars. Peter Weller's just fantastic.
I love him.
Yep, I absolutely love him. And, it's just, I don't know. What can you say?
I've never seen this movie. I keep meaning to, because I'm a big cult movie fan. Yeah, I'm a big cult movie fan. I like cult movies a lot. And I'll deliberately seek them out. I've never seen it. I keep meaning to.
Wow. Well, I hear you. Because it's truly great. It's really great. So let's see here. Where are we? Your number 23, sir.
My number 23 is a movie called Sling Blade with Billy Bob Thornton, and this was actually like the first time I'd ever seen Billy Bob Thornton in a movie. Who's unrecognizable in this movie, by the way. He's put on weight and for the role, and he's unrecognizable. And I think Billy Bob Thornton is a tremendous actor. He's one of those actors who, I don't know if you know what I mean, doesn't seem to be acting. Everything seems so real. It seems natural. Like everything seems improv. You know, it's not like he's going off of a script. It's like everything seems so natural and real. But it's the story of a guy named Carl Childers who's been institutionalized for the murder of his mother and her lover, and he's released, and his counselor, his lifeline to the outside world, gets him a job, and he comes in contact with a young. Have you seen this movie?
I have. I love.
He develops his friendship with this young boy, and everybody's so concerned about him, that he's dangerous, and he's not. He's very gentle soul, and he's a good guy, but this kid lives in a very volatile, dangerous situation. And he ends up giving up his freedom and going back to protect this kid. And it's such a good movie. I love it so much. And Dwight Yoakam, a country singer, turns in a fantastic performance.
Well, it's a scary performance.
As the heavy
really
of the movie. It's terrifying. Yeah, he's so scary. John Ritter's fantastic in it. It's just so good. It's one of those true independent films that I think probably flew under the radar. I'm not sure if it was even successful or how wide the release was, but it's really, really good. And I've seen it more times than I care to admit. I could probably recite the movie, from beginning to end. But it's just so good, and it's just engrossing and sad, and I really like it a lot. So Sling Blade, is my number 23.
Well, it's a great film. It really is.
I really love it. Yeah.
It is, yeah. And I've seen, it's been a while since I've seen that one. I'd like to watch it again. It's just, it starts out kind of almost disturbing, and then it just becomes, it moves from being really entertaining to powerful to very touching. It's a great film.
Yeah. You feel so bad for, everybody in the movie, because he develops this friendship with this kid, and thanks to, an outside influence, it's just doomed because he wants to protect his freedom. Is doomed because he wants to protect this kid, and he gives up everything to protect this kid.
He does.
And it's just so good. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it.
It really is great. It really is great. Eric K, what's up, bro? Good to see you, buddy. The master of wrenches. What's up, man? Always a pleasure, bud. My 23 is, look, we're going to take my list is going to take a brief visit to the 21st century. I bet you're shocked. Because it won't be back there, probably. Possibly, I should say. And that's Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I love this film because, I love superheroes, everyone. And in my opinion, there's certain films that transcend the superhero genre to bring a superhero into something that's even a little bit more meaty and yet still maintain all of the wonderful superhero excitement and yet be a really clever, intelligent story. This one it has a 70s spy thriller kind of theme running through it, yet manages some great spectacular action and some wonderful characterization. And since I love the character of Captain America, I just had to get it into my top list there. And there are some other wonderful, great movies that I bounced because of it, just because this one, I love comic books, bottom line. I love superheroes, and this is a character that means a lot to me. And for me, just a couple of weeks back, Michael from Retro Blasting and I, we ranked all the MCU movies, 23 down, worst to first. This was clearly my number one, and it's the best of the best of the best of Marvel movies for me, and certainly the best of the MCU for me. So that's my 23.
I love it too. I think it's fantastic. Didn't make my list. If we'd have gone a little bit bigger, it probably would have. But I really love it. Yeah, just for all the reasons you said, it's so good. It's really really good.
It's a cut
Um,
above, I
yeah,
think.
it sets a high bar. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's fantastic. And I like the first Captain America movie too.
I do. Oh
Um,
yeah,
yeah, I
absolutely.
do. I really do.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to distinguish the two. It's hard for me to separate the two. I think I like them equally.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Um, they both have a different vibe to them.
Right.
They're completely different from each other. Which
Yes.
I thought was great. You just didn't do another one. You did something completely different with the second one.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, I love it too. Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, the first one's a wonderful, beautiful retelling, telling of
Yeah,
the Cap's
yeah, it's
origin,
great.
and then this one comes along, and it just uh, to have all that great slam bang action and still advance the character the way you did, and then give him an intriguing story. It just
Yeah.
all works so well. I really love
But you
it.
know what? You talk about the slam bang action in that movie. I don't even really care about that. I mean,
No, I just
it's great to have in there,
right.
but the movie's so good that
Yeah.
I I don't even really miss it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You got to have it in a superhero
Yeah,
film. I mean, in a
yeah,
superhero film, that's going to be there. It's a component of superhero stories,
right.
but it doesn't. It complements it rather than just takes it over. I
Yeah,
mean, even
to
though I
me,
love
it's
it.
the least important part of the movie.
Well, yeah, I look, I love seeing that spectacle. But in this modern
Yeah,
age, when
sure.
you can make superheroes look like they're knocking each other through buildings and all that kind of crap,
Yeah,
I love it. But if the movie doesn't have anything else to it, it leaves me cold. This one doesn't do that. And, some of the other Marvel movies do to it to various degrees here and there, but nothing like this one for me. So,
right.
like the scene when Cap, look, the scene in the elevator. This scene again. This has some classic scenes that are great cinema. When he goes into the elevator and all those big guys are coming in there
Yeah,
around him, and then it's one of the best. He goes, finally, they all get in there, and he knows, they're coming
yeah,
after him, and he notices the sweat on the one of his brow, because even though they're bigger than this guy, they know that's Captain America. He's probably going to wipe the floor with us, but we got to do
yeah.
this anyway. And before we get started, anybody want to get out? It's classic, man. And then,
It's
yeah, it's beautiful.
it's some great direction in that scene because you're catching on as an audience member as he's catching on.
Yes,
It's not hit over the head. You're like, they don't have the cartoonish thugs coming in.
right.
You start to realize the same time he does. You're like, something's up.
Oh yeah,
It's done
thumbs up.
really well.
Yeah, I love it. Let's see, where are we at now? We're at 22, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
22.
You're number 22.
22. This is one of those movies that I'm talking about. It's like really personal for me. It just makes that connection, and I don't care what anybody says about it. I adore this movie. I absolutely love it. I've seen it countless times. I own it on various formats, Blu-ray and DVD and VHS, and you name it. And it's Kingdom of the Spiders with William Shatner from
Shatner.
1977. I adore this movie. I love this movie so much. It's just so much fun. It's part of the nature strikes back craze of the 70s. You had um, in 77. By the way, 77 was just so good for me in movies. There's so many movies out in 77 that I loved. Star Wars and uh, the Island of Dr. Moreau with Michael York came out that year, and The
Yeah.
White Buffalo with Charles Bronson. These are movies that didn't make my list, and I wanted them on there so bad because I love them. And this movie is low budget and low budget. Most of the money in this movie went to Shatner and tarantulas, and it's just so good. I just love it. It's unsettling. It's creepy. It's well done. It's Shatner just in a great performance. Shatner's known for his big over the top, sometimes that big bombastic performance, and here's very low key and very very mellow performance. But the movie's very effective because it uses real spiders. Today it would be CGI spiders or whatever, but I mean, these are real tarantulas. And there's just an undefinable something about this movie that I love. I'm a big Shatner fan, so there you go. There's one.
Of course.
I
We love Shat.
I love horror. There's two. Spiders fascinate me. There's three. And the personal note I'm talking about is because I love this movie so much. You mentioned that I did a show. That's what prompted me to do a show. Was the first show I did was an interview with Jeffrey Sneller and Stephen Lodge, who were the producer and co-writers of the movie, and that's what got me started. Was doing a show with them, and it's just fantastic. And if you want, don't take it too seriously. You know, if you're just looking for a good creepy movie to watch on a Saturday night or something with a bowl of popcorn or something, this is one for you. But I love Kingdom of the Spiders. And it's got one of those, I'm not going to spoil the ending for anybody who hasn't seen it. It's got one of those takes you by surprise endings, one of those unpredictable endings, a twist. And I just love it. So yeah, Kingdom of the Spiders is my number 22.
I haven't seen it in a long, long time.
I
Probably since
love
it was
this
on
movie.
network.
I love it.
I need to watch it again. I mean, of course, we all love some shat. So, but I've not seen that since the 70s, probably, or 80s. We've talked about it a lot.
You get to brag. How many people get to brag that you made a B movie with a low budget and you got Jerry Goldsmith to do your score?
Wow,
because,
that's true.
Yeah, because they pull some library music from the Twilight Zone that Goldsmith did. So it's like Jerry Goldsmith kind of scored Kingdom of the Spiders.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's crazy, man. Oh, you may have told me that before.
Yeah,
you may mention that.
But it's a lot of fun. It's just one of those movies you just don't take too seriously. But here's the thing about it: the movie does take its subject matter seriously. If it played it goofy, this movie's going to suck. But it's played, with dead seriousness. We've with DDT and other pesticides, we've destroyed their food source, so they're coming after us. And
nice.
It's just a great fun movie. And so yeah, Kingdom of the Spiders.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that, man. My number 22 is Tombstone. Oh my goodness. I love not only love this movie, I love quoting this movie. I'm your Huckleberry. The beautiful purple Valkyrie. Great to see you, my dear. Oh my goodness, it's so lovely to see you. I just you would think there would be a lot more Westerns on my list. I know we're just early in the list, but I love Westerns. I'm actually, it's kind of strange. I'm more of a fan of old 50s and 60s TV Westerns, but I do love a lot of Western films. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
This is one of the all-time greatest. What an unbelievable cast. Kurt Russell is fantastic. Of course, I've always loved him. He's been in a lot of my favorite films. Kilmer is just terrific in this thing. You got Bill Paxton, you got Sam Elliott. Look at that. Is there a Fantastic Four of Westerns? That's it right there as far as casting goes.
Yeah.
And I'm your Huckleberry indeed. Stevenson's right. No, skin that smoke wagon and see what happens. We'd be here all day.
My brother-in-law and I quote this movie constantly. Constantly. Like, and I've got this thing where if somebody gets mad and they walk off, I got to do it. Well, bye.
Well, bye. Yep.
Bye. Yeah, man, I love this movie. And it came out at a time when Westerns weren't hot.
No.
They were not hot. And also at the same year, Kevin Costner did Wyatt Earp, which I also like.
I thought it was boring. I thought that
really? I like it. I like it.
I guess I don't like Costner too much.
The two things is, if you want a more accurate
it is
historical movie, you watch the Costner movie. If you want something that's just fun and highly entertaining and you don't have all night, because Wyatt Earp is long. It's 3 hours.
Yeah.
But I love them both for different reasons. But if you want something great that you can watch, Tombstone. You can't go wrong. I love this movie. I love it.
Love it so much. All right, Clanton, you called down the thunder. Well, now you've got it. I love it.
It's so good.
The Cowboys are finished. You understand? I see a red sash. I killed a man wearing it. I can do it all night. Oh, my God. I love this movie.
Amazing.
So many great quotes. Yep.
It's amazing. It's so good.
Why, Johnny Ringo. Looks like somebody just walked over your grave. Oh, my God.
The villains are so villainous.
Oh,
they're twirling their mustaches.
Michael Biehn and Powers Booth are brilliant. I mean, Catman, what's up? Good to see you, buddy. Let's see here.
Fantastic movie.
Oh, love it. Okay, you're number 21, bud.
Yeah, I just got done talking about quoting movies. And if there's a movie that my brother-in-law and I quote, my brother-in-law and I are real tight. My sister's husband, we're real tight with each other. If there's a movie that we quote more than Tombstone, it's probably National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I love this movie. It is my favorite Christmas movie. Doesn't have to be Christmas. I'll watch it anytime. I really love the first Vacation. I think it's fantastic. European Vacation, not so good, but then Christmas Vacation comes along. And not only does it save this franchise, I think it's even better than Vacation. This movie makes me laugh no matter how many times I've seen it. It's just so good. And there's a real heart to it also. I mean, it's this goofy, kind of gross out screwball comedy, but it's got some real heart to it. I mean, Clark Griswold, this bumbling buffoon, he's got a good heart. He just wants to have a Christmas vacation with his family. Family's important to him. And he's a family man, and that's what he wants for him and his family, and he's trying his best, and everything just goes wrong. It's just one thing after another that goes wrong to try and ruin this Christmas. But it all works out in the end because they're all together. And I just love this movie and so much, and it makes me laugh. I could see it for the 150th time, and it would still make me laugh. The same scene over and over and over again. I never get tired of it. People say, Miracle on 34th Street's my favorite Christmas movie or Christmas story. No, Christmas Vacation. I love this movie so much. And so quotable, so funny, so good. Cousin Eddie, Randy Quaid steals the movie. It's just amazing. I just love this movie so much. So yeah, Christmas Vacation is my number 21.
Well, I don't think I may have never watched it. You know what I'm saying?
What?
I don't think I've ever watched it. You'd be surprised at some of the films. One night we'll do a show about movies.
For real? You gotta watch it.
That's the title of a stream we should do. Like, oh my God, you never watched that? For real? You got to watch it. Let me talk about movies we haven't watched that everyone's seen that loves.
Oh man, you've got to watch this movie. It is so funny.
I will. I didn't know. It was not like I avoided it. I'm not sure why I've never seen it.
Yeah, I'm like that too. They're like, you haven't seen it? I'm like, it's nothing personal. I just never got around to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's happened to me on a few films. Like, everyone would say it's great. Oh, yeah, and I believe him. And I just never get around to it for some dumb reason. And I feel like the schmuck in the room go, well, you didn't see that? What the hell's wrong with you? So,
yeah. We have a Christmas tradition.
You always watch it every Christmas.
We watch it every Christmas. Yeah, Christmas Eve. We're grown adults. These are grown adults. We're in our 50s, right? And we always spend Christmas Eve at my sister's house, and we watch the old Rankin Bass stuff. We watch About a Santa Claus. We watch all that stop motion stuff, and then it's Christmas Vacation.
Oh well, cool. Maybe, and if I do, it'll have to be Christmas, of course.
Makes it better, yeah.
Of course. My number 21. We're going to go back to back. Kurt Russell here. Big Trouble in Little China. I love this movie so much.
Me too.
It just makes me happy every time I watch it. It makes me, and maybe I don't know if it's supposed to make me laugh the whole time, but Captain Hipster Spock. Good to see you there. When I read about it in Starlog magazine and saw this kind of stuff, I said, oh well, I already love him. I love Snake Plissken. I love him in The Thing. I love Kurt Russell. So that'll be cool. He's going to be some kind of a badass. And when I go see it, I didn't expect this character of Jack Burton to be funny necessarily. I just, to be interesting, sure. It'll be off the wall. Snake Plissken's a no-nonsense kind of, not very talking kind of guy. He was similar in some respects in the great John Carpenter's The Thing. So I wasn't expecting any kind of a comedic type of performance out of Kurt Russell. And he's friggin' hilarious. Jack Burton. One thing old Jack Burton says at a time like this, the kind of the intentional sort of a John Wayne type of
monologue,
and again, talk about quotable movies. My buddy Steve Mitchum was in the chat where we quote this movie all the time to each other. This is another like Tombstone that's so quotable. Yeah, so many.
It's so good.
Quotable things in it. Yeah,
it's so bizarre. It's such a strange movie, which is why I love it.
Well, Pat S., I love Escape from New York. There are plenty of films that barely miss the list. Yes, you know it's not, but I love it, dude. I love the film. Not so much L.A., but yeah. But this is just God, every bit of it's just so entertaining, so fun, so off the wall. Because I had Buckaroo Banzai on my list earlier, as we talked about, and this has always been kind of similar in a sense. Really,
very
crazy
bizarre.
Off the wall type of film.
Which
Bizarre film. Yeah. So your number, I think we're at 20.
Yeah, number 20 is Dazed and Confused. I'm noticing a pattern here, because this is also one of those movies that my brother-in-law and I quote all the time. It's one of those movies that there's really no plot. There's not really a plot to this movie. It's just one night in 1976. It's the last day of school for these high school students in Texas and Austin, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just what happens that night after school lets out. And like I said, there's no plot. It's just individual stories of each of these characters, and they all converge at the end of the movie. And there's a point in each movie where a character embarks on a different path. You know what I mean? They find their courage, or they decide what they want to do, or they stand up for something they believe in. And it comes on the heels of this. It's not a screwball comedy, but it's a lot of situational comedy. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like nobody's getting hit in the pie with a face, hit in the face with a pie or anything like that. It's a lot of character interaction.
Right.
And a lot of unknown actors. And an unknown Ben Affleck at that time, by the way. And who plays the jerk in the movie. But it's just so good, and so many like really good actors in it. Some who went far, Matthew McConaughey and Ben Affleck. Some who kind of faded away. Parker Posey's in it. A lot of unknowns, but it's just really, really, really good. A lot of nostalgia to it. A lot of 70s songs. A lot of kids you recognized from high school. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I knew that guy.
Sure.
I knew that girl. I was that guy. It's that kind of thing. It's a pure nostalgia piece, and it's just so highly entertaining. So yeah, Dazed and Confused is my number 20.
I've never seen it.
You got to see it.
You got me twice in a row.
You got to see it. So good.
I will. Well, I mean, like I said, as Cap said in Winter Soldier, I'll put it on the list.
You put it on your list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put it on your list.
My number 20, folks, is, in my opinion, the greatest Batman movie ever to play on a movie screen. And it is Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I know you might say, how do you put a cartoon on there? Well, this is a Batman film, but played in movie theaters. It was released and made for movie theaters. And, of course, I love Batman the Animated Series. And I love this movie. They've never gotten close to it for Batman movies, for me personally. So I don't think it's cheating to put an animated film on there. Why not? It was a theatrical film, so movie's a movie. And if you have not seen this yet and you want to see Batman closer to what he is really supposed to be than any live action movie will ever get him, at least in my opinion, it's this one. And it did not play for theater screens very long in it was 94, a couple of weeks maybe. I went as many times as I could.
Yeah.
Because I was, of course, big time in love, with the animated series, like I said. And so when they did this, I couldn't wait. And I watched it so many times. Yes, it is pre-Bat, and that's JT. So that is my number 20. And what is your number 19, bud?
I got to tell you real quick about Mask of the Phantasm. Quick story about that.
Oh, sure.
I also went to the theater and saw it, which was kind of neat and kind of strange. Kind of cool, but kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of cool to be going and seeing an animated Batman movie. It was kind of strange, at the same time, because the show was running on TV, and it's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to go because I was a huge fan of the show. And I had a friend who had never seen the show. He had never seen a second of the show. And he went with me.
Mm-hmm.
And he immediately fell in love with the TV show. Yeah, so it turned him on to the TV show.
Nice. And he watched the whole. Oh, that's great. And he watched it. He became a fan. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Big fan of it now.
Well, excellent. Excellent. Again, yes, it's God, I cannot even count how many times I've watched this thing, but I only got to see it a few times in the theater because, like I said, it didn't last all that long.
Even Siskel and Ebert loved it.
They did. Well, Siskel and Ebert were. I mean, I was a little shocked, and like they said, this is the Batman movie they should have made. And at that time, So, number 19, man.
Number 19. This is going to be the first time where I cheat.
Cheater.
I'm cheating here because it's part of a trilogy, and I love them all. So it was like, okay, I don't want to take up 3 slots with the same movie out of a trilogy, which I'll cheat again later. You know what I mean? Because we only had 25, and I'm like, I love all 3.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't want to take up 3 slots. So I'm just going to pick one.
Okay.
I'm going to pick one out of this trilogy that's the one, and it's Dawn of the Dead from 1979.
Love it.
I love Night of the Living Dead. I love Dawn of the Dead. I've grown to love Day of the Dead. I even like the Night of the Living Dead remake they did in 1990. I thought it was really good too. But Dawn of the Dead is the one, the most infamous. That's the infamous one. When I was 70, I was in the hospital. The only time I've ever been in a hospital in my life, and I had pneumonia when I was a kid, right? And on Saturday nights, you've heard me talk about this many times, we had Chiller Theater with Chilly Billy Cardille. So I'm watching Chiller Theater. And because Dawn of the Dead, like the other movies, was shot in the Pittsburgh area, they were promoting it heavily during Chiller Theater. So I'm alone in this hospital bed in the dark, and they were constantly running promos for Dawn of the Dead. You've got that music from Goblin going, and it just scared the shit out of me. It scared the hell out of me. I was like actually terrified in that hospital room. And I'm like, just the TV spots alone traumatized me. And when I finally did get to see the movie, I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was fantastic. Romero, as he likes to do, social commentary. Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead is an old society rising up, a new society rising up the old society's revolution. Dawn of the Dead is commercialism. It's, the commercialism of the 70s.
Yeah.
And it's worked in brilliantly with this zombie storyline. And it's a very slow moving movie, but it needs that because you only have 3 characters that you're following. So you got to spend 4 characters that you're following throughout the movie. So you got to spend a lot of time with these characters so you care about them. And it's this movie. It's all over the place. It's horrifying images that are so horrifying and so graphic that eventually you become numb to it. You don't realize it as you're watching the movie, but you become desensitized to it. And there's like some weird comedy elements to it, and the movie's bleak and dark, but not too bleak and dark. That's the weird thing. People think this movie's just all grim, but in the end, it's there's hope at the end, and it's these people trying to survive. They're not giving up. They're going to survive. But it's just an amazing film, and it's one of those seminal horror movies. I've been to the Monroeville Mall many times. It's really cool just to see where this movie was shot and filmed. But Dawn of the Dead is my number 19.
I love it. It's been a while since I've seen this one, but and again, Matthew Pounder, good to see you. And I agree, Matthew Pounder. Everyone, fawns over the remake. It's Snyder, so screw it. I have no interest in watching this thing remade. I don't see why.
It's okay. It's okay.
Well, people like
it'll
it.
Never top the original.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Oh yeah, people like it, and that's fine. I just no interest in it. This one's good enough for me.
Right.
So yeah. My number 19, for the first time on my list, I stray outside of the geek zone.
Oh.
Yeah, L.A. Confidential. I just love this film. It's some of these actors later, I don't know some of the things they've done or whatever, but they're perfectly cast in this one. The character of Bud White, to me, I don't know if I've ever liked Russell Crowe much, all that and other things, but I love him in this. I love everyone in this. This is just a great cop, adventure crime thriller to me. One of my favorites. That year it came out, I think it should have easily won Best Picture. It got beaten by overrated filth, The Titanic. But yeah, great characters. Rollo Tomasi. I don't know, just always loved it. I can't even count how many times I've watched it. And again, you think it would have been another silly superhero movie on the list, but no, this is one of those ones, a crime drama that it just rocks and rolls.
I just cannot comment because I've never seen it.
Really, I highly recommend it. I highly
recommend
recommend
this
this
list.
film. Yeah, there you go. Put it on that list because it's just. I'm glad you said that because I was about to say something that would be very spoilerly because it's got an unbelievable ending and God, just great characterization. It's exciting. It's thrilling. There's never a dull moment in this film. And again, the character of Bud White, played by they're all really good in it. I mean, even that creep Kevin Spacey's great as Jack Vincennes. I believe Kim Basinger won the Oscar for this. She is very good in it. Guy Pearce is like one of his first, if not his first thing that was first, breakout film, and it was probably one of the first things I've seen Russell Crowe in. Just terrific. Great stuff. I love this film. Let's see here. Your number 18.
My number 18 is Fargo. And it's probably the Coen brothers' best movie. And if nobody's seen it, it's about a kidnapping that takes place not in Fargo. That's the weird part about the movie. It's called Fargo, but none of it takes place in Fargo. But it's a kidnapping that's orchestrated by a guy who works in a car lot who's gotten himself into some financial trouble. And he comes up with a scheme. Well, I'll have my wife kidnapped, and the ransom will help me get out of trouble because I'll split the ransom with the kidnappers. And things go completely off the rails. And Frances McDormand steps into the picture as the hero of the movie, who's a sheriff who just happens to be pregnant. And she's trying to unravel this mystery of this kidnapping amidst all these really bizarre characters. Every character in the movie is just bizarre in some way or another. And it's just twists and turns, and the movie's constantly catching you off guard. You think it's going this way, and then it goes this way. And it's just got a tremendous cast in it, and it's just quirky as hell. And so Fargo, is my number 18.
We're back to that. I've never actually watched it.
Really?
Yeah. I love it, Raising Arizona, but I haven't seen many other Coen films on that list. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I haven't seen the show. People like the show.
It's really good. I've not seen the show. I've never seen the show.
Oh, I got you.
The movie's amazing.
Well, I do trust you and the Coen brothers. So that where we're at 18. Yeah. My number 18 is RoboCop. Dead or Alive, You Are Coming With Me. Another unbelievably quotable film. Cam. Hey there, good to see you. Peter Weller again on my list, folks. I remember when it first came out, 1987, as a big fan of the comic Judge Dredd. I thought this kind of reminded me like of a Judge Dredd type, and it is kind of. I think that's kind of what maybe Paul Verhoeven was going for or whatever. I've always kind of vibed that about it. I'm one of those weirdos that actually kind of likes the second movie. It was kind of fun, but this one.
I do too.
Because a lot of people get down it, but again, it's not in the class with the first one, in my opinion. But still, This first film is just glorious. I never get to. I cannot. Again, it's one of those. Well, all of these on this list, I've watched over and over and over again. So I guess that's why I ended up singling out the ones I did for my top 25 because they're movies I can never get tired of. And now when I think about it, man, it's been a while since I've actually watched RoboCop again. Just having it here on the list makes me want to go watch it right now. Extremely quotable, very exciting, extraordinary, hyper violent, of course, but just a great film. What can you say?
So good. It's so good. I mean, that from the suit design to to
Yeah.
the satire, to like you said, the hyper violence that comes out of nowhere, and you're like, whoa, because the movie's very violent, and
Yes.
yeah, the great satire that's in it, and like I said, that terrific costume and the amazing score. Yeah, it's real good. If the list had gone more than 25, I'm sure it would have made it.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I mean, man, now I'm wanting to watch this again so bad. I need, I don't have the Blu-ray either. I just have like an old copy. I need to. Well, now I know what I'm gonna go look for when I get up. I gotta go get the Blu-ray of this. I'm sure there is one. What are we at now? Are we at 17 for you, bud?
Yeah, yep. My number 17 is The Green Mile, which is adapted from a Stephen King book. But it's wow. I mean, this movie is just engrossing. I believe it's 3 hours, or at least damn close to it. But it's just engrossing, and it's one of those movies that's 3 hours, but seems much shorter because you're just so engrossed in the story and the characters. And it's one of those movies where you think it's going to be one thing. You think, oh, it's just going to be like straight up, prison drama. And then suddenly, without warning, the movie takes this supernatural turn, and it becomes something else. And I mean, it's just incredible movie. Just such great performances by Tom Hanks and Michael Clark Duncan, and it's just blows your mind. And it's one of those movies. Unfortunately, it's just very sad.
Yeah.
And I'll admit it. I'm going to admit it in front of the world. Made me cry. Yeah, that movie made me cry. But yeah, The Green Mile is my number 17. Just an amazing movie. I'm not a huge Stephen King fan. I definitely like movie adaptations better than his books for sure. And this doesn't feel like a Stephen King thing. You would have to tell me Stephen King did this. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what? I mean, I knew about the book. I never read it. I knew that he wrote a book called The Green Mile, but I had no idea what it was about. But it was kind of neat to see King break away and do something completely different, for once. But yeah, The Green Mile is my number 17.
Oh, by the way, yo, Dave Bob, good to see you, brother. We're back to another one I have never watched, and I was
really,
terrible. Yeah. I don't know, man. I just, I only watch geek stuff mostly, and I just never was a Tom Hanks guy myself, even though I like some stuff in him.
Really?
Yeah,
not a big fan. I like.
Not a big Hanks guy. My number, what are we? 17? Let's make sure. Yeah. My number 17 is MASH.
Oh.
I love. It's funny. I saw the TV show like a lot of people because this came out in 1970 and it was an R-rated film and I was pretty young. So I didn't see the film till way later and very butchered up for television. But I love the first 3 seasons of the TV show. First 3 seasons of the MASH TV show are some of the funniest things ever on TV. Love it. Hilarious, great show. When I finally got a chance to see the film, which is based on a series of books by Richard Hooker, seeing these actors, knowing it was before the film didn't help me. I was like, I don't know, man. This ain't Alan Alda, this ain't, this is not my Hawkeye, not my Trapper. It's so different, except for Radar being the only one.
Yeah, it's the only one you recognize.
Yeah, but I just grew to love it, and it is so fundamentally different from the show.
Oh yeah,
but still brilliant. It is one of the greatest comedies ever made. And, I love comedies, but I can't say that there are many on my list, even though I love a lot of them. Again, everyone if you're just joining us, 25 is way too narrow to narrow things down because I could have 100 on a list easy and gush about all of them and love them. So it was tough narrowing it down to 25, but we're the kind of guys we are. We're tough guys. No, we're not.
Yeah.
But we're tough. So, yeah, but I love MASH. So, again, another one of the most quotable films ever made.
Right.
It's just great, man. It's just
it's the same. That's the same story with me. I'd seen the TV show because you and I are very close in age, and it's kind of the same story. I caught it for the first time on late night TV. It was a late movie.
Yeah.
And completely taken off guard. I mean, I'm like, what is this? Right from the very beginning with the opening shot of the choppers flying the wounded in, which is much more graphic than the TV show. You're like, ooh, goddamn! You see their bloody arm hanging out, and you've got that song playing, and it's got that Altman style where people talk over top of each other to make it seem more natural, because people do. You've got multiple conversations. It's a really interesting film to watch many times because you miss things. And you'll catch other conversations going on while you are focused on the main conversation, there's another conversation going on. Yeah, it's really good. So yeah, I'm a big fan too.
Number 16, man.
Number 16, we're going back to the Coen brothers here with The Big Lebowski. And it's another one of those it's another one of those movies that my brother and I quote constantly. But it is probably one of the quirkiest movies I've ever seen. And I think it's what I don't know anybody who says, "Oh, The Big Lebowski's okay." You know what I mean? Nobody. I never hear anybody say, "Oh, it's okay. Yeah, it's all right." They either love it or they hate it. I've never met anybody who's okay with it. It's either love or hate, and I fall in the love category. I love this movie, but I know a lot of people who are like, "I hate that movie." I've never heard anybody say, "Oh, it's all right." Yeah, it's pretty decent. But it's a polarizing movie, not because of its content. It's just I think it's either just your kind of movie or it's not your kind of movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a really strange movie, but Jeff Bridges is just so great in it, and John Goodman and Steve Buscemi, and it's just a really weird, strange movie. It's kind of done like a film noir detective movie, but with this weird stoner angle to it, and so it's really terrific. I love it. So The Big Lebowski is my number 16.
Guess what?
Never seen it.
Never seen it. Never watched it.
Jesus,
dude, I've just
you're gonna have a whole different list by the time this is over. Top 25 movies I have to watch.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I guess I've only seen like one or two Coen brothers films. I guess I never really felt like I was avoiding it, and I do understand where you're coming from, people with the love-hate thing. I never actually heard anyone say they hate it, but I've heard a lot of people try to really get strong arm me into watching it, though. So,
well, I will tell you something. Lebowski fans are pretty obnoxious. You know what I mean? Like, they won't shut up until you watch it. I'm not going to do that, but I know they'll be like, "Oh, you have to," like it's a law or something. But it's really good. I really love it a lot.
Well, again, I have no objection. Again, I don't know. I guess I just never had access to it. Never thought about it that much. I don't know what it is. Circumstance.
And here's the weird part. It's not like I'm a Coen Brothers fan. It's a Coen Brothers movie. I have to watch it. It just happened to be two movies by the Coen Brothers that I really love.
Two? Okay, there you go. Yeah, that's right. You've had two already.
Yeah.
What are we at? My 16. Actually, staying within the realm of comedy. My 16 is Duck Soup by the Marx Brothers.
Oh man, it was on my list, and then
I love this movie so much. But this is how ahead of its time can a movie possibly be when it comes to political satire? Yeah. I love a lot of their films, especially the early ones before this. But to me, some may disagree. This movie was a flat out bomb when it came out in theaters. Yeah. And it's tough for me to pick a favorite Marx Brothers movie, you would think, but no, this one's clearly my favorite. I really do love Horse Feathers, actually, and I love Monkey Business. Mm-hmm. But I even love A Night at the Opera, but not as much as most people. I think I do love it. It's great, but there you go, Snort. Hail, hail, Fredonia. Again, super quotable. God.
I'm gonna confess something.
Yes.
You and I have been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
We've been hanging out a long time. You know why I left Duck Soup off the list?
Why?
I knew it was going to be on yours.
At least it got a mention.
That's the truth. I swear to God, that's it. That was my entire motive. I'm like, why couldn't leave it off? Because it's still going to get mentioned. I just know it's going to be on his. So default, we're still going to get to talk about it.
And there's no way you could have remembered that from way back then. I guess.
No,
I wouldn't
I
think.
just
Yeah.
knew it. I just knew
Oh
it.
yeah. It was on before too.
It'll be on.
Yeah. I love it, man. I just
It'll be there. I just know
Yep.
it.
Well, I'm glad we both love it because it's just one of the great comedies, man.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite Marx Brothers.
So much great political satire. They keep naming a lot of movies. I love how you guys are naming films in the chat. I hope you're not mad at us for any movies that you're naming that you love that are not on our list, because these are personal lists. But I love seeing movies that you love. So, and yeah, there are going to be some that are on either list that people can go, "Are you crazy not having that?"
Yeah,
on
are
your
you
list?
nuts?
What
And
the hell's
that's
wrong
coming
with
up
you?
immediately.
No, I mean, ones on our list, they might say they're nuts. But I'm talking about ones not on the list. They're going to go, how could you not have so-and-so?
Yeah, well,
That's going to happen.
personal thing.
Remember, they used to have it happen to us in the old days a lot.
Oh, yeah.
About the lists.
Are you crazy?
Are you nuts? It's either what you put on it or what you don't.
Yeah.
So, 15, bud.
15 would have worked the other way for you. Like, let's say in some alternate universe, this movie would end up on your list, which I know it won't. You could have said, well, I'm going to leave it off because I know damn well it's going to be on his list because he won't shut up about this movie.
Uh-huh.
And everybody in the chat's going to be like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Why are you talking to this stupid ass? Do you feel sorry for this guy or something?
Oh,
Has he got nothing better to do? You just give him something to do every once in a while because he's lonely and pathetic?
I love the way you set it up.
Yeah. So my number 15 is The Legend of the Lone Ranger. Shut up, everybody. I know the story. I know all the little interesting facts. I know his voice was dubbed. I know this. I know all of this. I probably know more than you do because I'm obsessed with this movie like a mental patient. I love The Legend of the Lone Ranger. I love it. I don't apologize for it. I don't care what people think of me. I love this movie. I saw this movie I don't know how many times in 1981. At minimum 15 times I paid to go see this movie. I think I was responsible for most of the movie's box office revenue because it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot. Yeah, it wasn't a bunch. But there's just something. It's difficult to explain. It's impossible to explain. I've tried to explain it. I can't. It's just an intangible something about a movie that you really, really, really love.
Sure.
And it's just this weird combination of things. The cinematography, the movie looks beautiful. The movie looks amazing. It looks like something, out of its time. It looks like something, from the late 60s or, you know what I mean? That big wide scope, that huge vista, these huge vistas and this great score by John Barry. And it's fast paced. I don't care what anybody says. I know he doesn't don the mask until the last act of the movie. I get that, but it's just there's just something about it that I love. And my grandfather was a huge fan of the Clayton Moore Lone Ranger, and it was on like all the time. Now, I was not a huge Western fan. I'm still not. I love some of them. I'm more interested in like the actual things. Like I'm borderline obsessed with like Billy the Kid and Wyatt Earp and things like that. There's something on about them, I'm watching it. Or if there's something there, I'm going to read it. I'm just obsessed with that. But the movies and TV shows, not so much. It was just never really my genre. Even though the Lone Ranger, I guess, is kind of like a superhero. You know what I mean? With the mask and
Sure,
everything.
sure.
So that was his Lone Ranger. It wasn't mine. Not a distaste or anything, just wasn't mine.
Sure.
And this came at a time when I was, young, and just became kind of my Lone Ranger, if that makes sense.
Sure. No,
that was his. This is mine, and I attached myself to it. And I just think it's highly entertaining. it's got some flaws. Well, not every movie. My number one is flawless. I don't want to hear anybody bash it in any way whatsoever when we get to it.
That's
No, that's not true.
yeah, Pat S. Actually, yes, the Lone Rangers. I have an action figure with the red outfit of the Lone Ranger from the the radio show,
outfit, which I did, which I don't care for. But there was just something about this movie. Like, it looked different. It wasn't what I was used to. Like the Lone Ranger's, like, I don't know if you want to call it a costume, but his motif was different. It was like this kind of gray and I don't know. It just one of those movies that just captures your imagination, and this one did. So, The Legend of the Lone Ranger is number 15, and I'm not apologizing.
Well, you got a few people in the chat seem to like it. You got a few people in the chat seem to like it.
Yeah, you know what? Claude used to bust my balls about it all the time. But then he admits to me that he likes it. Not only likes it, but he owns it. I'm like, wait a minute, you've been busting my balls for years over this, and you like it? That's Claude. Yeah, not only do I like it, I own it.
Oh, man. I don't think I ever sat through all of it.
Really?
But I will. I'll borrow it from Claude.
Yeah, because Claude owns it.
He owns it. It was him. It was him.
On Blu-ray, nonetheless.
Abby, and both he and Abby always bust your ass over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they loved it. Yeah. Charlie would bust my ass on it, too.
Who?
Charlie.
Charlie did, too. Yeah, he went after you, too, on that. I remember that,
Oh, yeah, everybody went after me. That's become like the in-joke. It's like anytime people want to get back at me, they'll bring that movie up.
Indeed, this is indeed.
But it's all fun. It's fun.
All in good fun, folks.
Yeah, it's all in good fun.
My number 15 is a movie with a number in it, but it's 7, and that is, of course, The Magnificent Seven. I love this movie so much. What a cast. Yes, of course, the American, as in Western remake of The Seven Samurai, which is, again, that's even in the opening credits. They didn't just plagiarize it. They paid the Akira Kurosawa people to take that script and turn it into a Western. And I, of course, have every respect for Seven Samurai, but I'm American, I guess, and I love Westerns. And what a cast. What a... Whoa, you all right there? I just heard a noise. You okay?
Oh, it's a fan.
Oh, okay. You're cool. You're cool. My God, Steve McQueen, Yul Brynner, James Coburn, Charles Bronson, and more. Even Horst Buchholz, but you can't have everything. Brad Dexter is cool too. My God, this again, another one of those highly quotable films. All kind of great quotes in it that I just, I don't know.
I gotta say, I've never seen it.
Really? Well, now I get to throw it back at you then.
Yeah.
This is
back on me.
One of the most greatest epic westerns.
Yeah.
Dude, the cast is just unbelievable, man.
Not actively avoid it. It's just, I don't know. It just
I got you. It
never
happens,
came up.
It happens. It happens. What was it, Pat S? Give me a battle. Pat S says, "Give me a Battle Beyond the Stars." Well, I do love Battle Beyond the Stars, but it's not on the list. But Battle Beyond the Stars is a science fiction fantasy remake of this. This and Seven Samurai. So, but anyway, love that is my number 15, and I love it. Let's see. What is your number 14, bud?
My number 14 is Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's one of those movies that strikes at the right time. You know what I mean? I was in high school when this movie came out. It's a high school movie, and as much as I said during Dazed, of course I was growing up in the 70s, but that wasn't at a time when you're independent. You know what I mean? You're still a kid. We were still, very young, and when Dazed and Confused takes place in 76, I was 10, so it's not as relatable as this movie is. So when this movie comes out, it's at a time when I'm in high school, and I can really super relate to a lot of these characters. I know this girl, I know that girl, I know this guy, I'm that guy. But it's just so funny. It's just like really, really, and what a time capsule it is. I mean, you don't even need the date on this movie. Nobody's seen this movie before. You can just throw it in front of them and they're like, this is from the 80s. You can tell. But Sean Penn, and like really the only role that he's played that I really like, steals the movie is Jeff Spicoli.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just it's much like what I was talking about with Dazed and Confused. No real plot. There's no real plot. There's not a driving plot to it. It's just a series of incidences in these kids' lives who happen to be friends, and each have their own goals and ambitions and problems. And terrific soundtrack and very funny. And like I said, Sean Penn, when he was still likable, stole the movie. But it's just so good. So Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That's my number 14.
Well, it's very famous, and here I get to use that line again on you. That
Are you serious?
Never seen it, never watched it.
Wow!
I hate Sean Penn.
Well, I'm not a fan either, but you got to overlook it for this one.
Oh yeah, well, Phoebe Cates is in it, right? So I'm there.
Phoebe Cates. One of the most paused moments in video rental history, actually.
Yes.
They can tell that by the tracking on
that.
videotapes, where the tracking is messed up on it. Like, the pervert's been pausing here.
Oh, yeah. Scuba Pete, by the way, great to see you, buddy. And I think I saw Rod Thunderheart earlier. If I miss anyone else, sorry. It's kind of tough to see it all, but really appreciate y'all being here with us tonight. So we're on what 14 now.
Yeah, you're 14.
Sticking with the ensemble cast, and the great one. The Great Escape, 2 McQueens in a row, just like I had 2 Kurt Russells in a row earlier. Wow, what an epic, what a masterpiece. I love this film so much. I even have a really big, gigantic, well, it's not really an action figure. It's a giant, like a doll, of Steve McQueen on the bike, and in his jacket and everything, which I have had for a long time, which is really cool, of course. Cooler King, McQueen, Garner, Richard Attenborough, Charles Bronson, James Coburn. You kidding me? Back
when you could afford to have
when you could afford them. Yeah, Steve McQueen was on one of my favorite Western TV shows, Wanted Dead or Alive, which I loved. He kept playing hooky from that so he could be in this, and I think he did kind of the same thing with if I remember right, it could have written the story backwards when he was doing Magnificent Seven. Steve McQueen's one of my favorite actors. I just love that guy. I think she's fantastic. Yep. Yeah, Tunnel King. He's the cooler king. You've never seen Great Escape? Well, at least we're even. At least I get to address you with the same credulity as you.
Yeah.
Incredulity, I should say, as you have addressed me. 13, brother.
Number 13, you've already had it on your list, and we talked about it extensively, and we both love it so much, and that's Tombstone.
Oh, yeah. Let me go get it back. Go back to it. Oh, where are we at? There it is. Yes, sir. We have talked about it. Anything else to say about it, though? Or?
No, sir. I think we covered it.
Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens, buddy. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Well, in that case...
something or just stand there and bleed.
My number... What are we at? 13? Yeah. My number 13, everyone, I'll give you a hint. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. I love it. 40 Stories of Sheer Adventure. I didn't want to go see Die Hard when it came out.
Really?
I loved Moonlighting. I was a huge fan of Moonlighting with Bruce Willis. And as such, I didn't think the Moonlighting guy needed to be in an action movie like Rambo in a building.
Oh, you stereotyped him.
Yeah, Rambo in a building or something like that. Now I'm going to get in trouble with Eric K. Here it goes. I'm going to mention the comic shop, Eric K., but it's for a reason. On my birthday of that year, it was 1988 in August, and they wanted to get me out of the shop so they could plan a little surprise birthday party. So Minimus, Claude, dragged me, finally talked me into seeing, because I don't want y'all to say how great it is. You got to go see it. Everyone kept coming out of the shop. Die Hard, Die Hard, Die Hard. You got to go see Die Hard. Usually that never goes well when someone does that.
Yeah.
Tells you how great something is. And you're like, nah.
Yeah. You're like, no, I don't want to watch it.
But he dragged me to it. And, I said, all right. Back then, there was a lot of great stuff coming out. So I went to see it. And, of course, No, just love. I've seen it so many times. It is one of the all-time great Christmas movies. I agree with that, Pat. And I just really, really love it. And by the way, I'm such a freak for this film. I even, except for the last terrible one, I'm easygoing on. I love Die Hard 2. I love the third one, even though it took me a while to grow on me. I even like that fourth one, Live Free or Die Hard. A lot of people don't. I thought A Good Day to Die Hard was terrible, but I love this film so much. I'm easy. I'm just kind of easy, really. I'm very easy on the sequels. I just like them just because I love the character of John McClane, and I just again, this movie, I can't. It never gets old for me. I watch it so many times. Quotable, exciting, a wonderful concept, a great performance by Bruce, and one of the great villains in movie history.
Oh yeah,
Hans Gruber. So I just adore it. One of the great action films of all of them.
Well, I love it too, and I have seen it.
But I always
Many
like it
times.
when we've both seen a movie. It's always good.
Yeah, many times. Yeah, I love it too.
Great stuff, man. Yippee-ki-yay, everyone. Number 12, bud.
My number 12 is John Carpenter's Halloween. Not
Yes.
Rob Zombie's. John Carpenter's Halloween.
The real one.
Man, what a film! It's one of those. Got to watch it on Halloween. I have to watch it every Halloween. I could watch it anytime, but there's something about, well, it's Halloween. I've got to watch this movie. Yeah, just terrifying. It's so well done. I talked about this earlier with Alien, where you maybe don't realize the aliens in the same room until it moves. A lot of that's done here too, with Michael Myers, with that eerie William Shatner mask, where he'll just appear in the shadows or in the background. And Carpenter's such a great director that he doesn't draw your attention to it. You'll catch it on your own. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's so subtle, but it's shot so well that you notice it. And it's just, it's the boogeyman. It's the one that started the slasher genre. Even though, oddly enough, there's very little blood in this movie. It shares the the myth of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. A lot of people say, "Oh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the goriest movies ever made." It's not.
No,
You think it was, but it was.
I don't like it.
Yeah, you think it was gory. It's not. You imagined all that. You're like, oh, he put that girl on the meat hook. Well, yeah, he did, but it didn't show it. And a lot of that takes place in this movie. People have misremembered over the years that it was bloody and it was hyper violent. It's not. But it's such great suspense and direction. Like I said, you become so involved, and Carpenter doesn't feel the need to hold your hand. Like there's a scene. I think it's brilliant. One of the most brilliant scenes in the movie is where Annie is going to meet her boyfriend, and she goes out to the car and realizes the car door is locked. She forgot her keys. So she goes back in, she gets her keys, and then without thinking, just opens the door, and then gets into the car, and then it dawns on her, wait a minute, that door was locked a minute ago. It's that kind of stuff that's, that makes the movie really scary. It's not him killing people. It's you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing where you as an audience member are like, oh God, you realize at the same time as she did. But that iconic theme, the direction, the villain who's just a villain. There's no real explanation. We don't need it. Rob Zombie that that he grew up in a trailer park and his mother was a stripper, and he's just evil. There's that great scene with Loomis, with that monologue where Loomis is the only one saying you can never let this monster out. And it's that great scene where he's, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, and it's just, he's just pure evil. And I just love it, and it never gets old for me, even though I know everything that's going to happen. It never gets old. So yeah, nice. Halloween is my number 12.
You want to?
And I know everything that's going to happen. I know every bit of it. Happen.
Because you see it you watch it every year.
Yeah.
You want a surprise?
Yeah. No way.
I like it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say you'd
No,
never
I
seen
know
it.
that's what. No, that would have been. Would you have been surprised by that? No, you've been less
I would have
surprised.
been surprised.
No, because I've been all these other ones I haven't
I know
seen.
you're not a
That
big
shouldn't
horror
surprise you.
guy.
I'm not a horror fan, and I don't like slasher films at all. And I like this one a lot. So it's rare for me because I just do not care for the genre at all. I can't name you
Right.
any other films. I don't really get. I think because this is a cut above, because it's intelligent.
It is a cut
I
of.
can't. You can call it a slasher film. Yes, he's slashing people, sure, but it's more than that. There's suspense. It's well made. It's scary.
Yeah.
And just not a big horror guy, but I love John Carpenter. A lot of his work.
Well, this was going to be a cheap exploitation movie, and it was going to be trash. It was going to be an absolute trash fest. It's called The Babysitter Murders, and it was going to be just garbage until Carpenter became attached, and then he took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah. Well, it's a very good film, and again, I love this. When I found out about the Shatner mask thing, it just always tickles me.
Yeah,
that's so great.
Which is really funny because there's another movie called The Devil's Reign.
Yes,
that Shatner is in, and when he's initiated into the cult, when his body is possessed, he has no eyes, and he looks exactly like Michael Myers in that movie.
And that was before this, though.
Yeah, right? That's before. Yeah, Devil's Reign is 1974.
Wasn't Devil's Reign a TV movie? I think it was a TV.
No, it was theatrical.
Oh, it was theatrical. Okay.
Yeah, it was made by the Mafia, actually.
Oh, shit. Well, there you
go. Bryanston Pictures was like a laundering. Yeah, that was Mafia.
Okay. What's theatrical? Sorry.
Yeah.
My number 12 is, I guess I'll get made fun of like you thought you would. It's a Wonderful Life. My
wife loves that movie.
I love this. This is, people like to call it, old fashioned or, kind of, I don't know what you like, smarmy, or I don't know what they like to call it. They're like, this is a dark film. This is a Twilight Zone episode. This is very the original dark Twilight Zone episode. Sure, it has a very happy, positive type of an ending, but the way it gets, this is a masterpiece in my opinion, and because it is the original Twilight Zone. I don't know if Rod Serling respected it very much, and of course I love Rod Serling. Bruce Lombardo, what's up, buddy? And I adore it. I mean, it's right up there with Die Hard. I have 2 Christmas movies in a row, Die Hard than this, and it's perfect. I just think it's perfect. I love everything about the film. I've watched it again so many times, and it just never gets old for me. I know a lot of one of my favorite lines on Batman the Animated Series, though, was in the Christmas with the Joker episode, which was the first one they made of that, when Robin's telling Batman he has to watch it, and he said he's never watched It's a Wonderful Life. Never could get past the title,
which is really kind of tragic and sad. You know what I mean?
Yes, it was tragic.
It's delivered. Yeah, it's a really dark moment in that episode. I can never get past the title. And you're like, wow.
And but this is not. It's called It's a Wonderful Life. It is a very positive, life-affirming film, but the road it takes to get there is super dark in the best of possible ways. And again, had to be some sort of inspiration for Rod Serling, and I just love it. It's the original Twilight Zone episode for me.
Yeah,
so,
well, it's one of those movies that was a tremendous flop when it came out.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It bombed critically and financially, and people really discovered it. No, it's one of my wife's favorite movies. I like it, but she adores it.
Oh yeah, I love it. Number 11, bud.
My number 11 is A Simple Plan. It's another movie with Billy Bob Thornton in it, who once again
great Bill
steals
Paxton.
the movie. Yeah, Bill Paxton.
Love Bill Paxton.
And Billy Bob Thornton, who's just incredible in this movie, just amazing. I'm a big fan of this guy. I think he's just a tremendous actor. But if anybody's not seen A Simple Plan, 2 brothers and a friend discover a plane that has gone down in the woods, and it's been covered in snow, and they find a dead pilot and a ton of money, a lot of money, and they decide that they're going to sit on the money for a while, and then when the time is right and things have calmed down, they'll split it and they'll go their separate ways. But of course, it's not that easy, and things really start to go wrong, and they go wrong in a big way, and it leads to a really unsettling climax. But yeah, Simple Plan is my number 11.
I've never seen it, but I've heard about it.
Really, you got to see it. It's so good. Sam
I've
Raimi.
heard about
it is Sam Raimi. It is Sam Raimi.
JT Kirk, no ultimatums, dude. This is a personal list now, man. But and I love all the movies everybody's talking about in there. There's so many. But we were talking about how 25 is such tough to fit all these in, and you go, yeah. I mean, I could put, if I made 100 lists, we'd be here way too long, and I would be gushing. I'd love them all. I mean, I could fill 100 easily. So
yeah. It's like and I love that my list and your list is so diverse.
They are very different. Absolutely. 11, right?
That was my number 11.
My number 11 is, again, like I warned everybody, it was going to be a really geeky list. Well, it gets even more geeky here, and that's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. God, this is, to me, one of the most wonderful, imaginative films ever made. I just love it so much. From 1988. It just, because I love cartoons. I love animation. I love cartoons. The brilliant mix. And again, to make this thing work in 1988 with the kind of effects they had, it just blew me away, especially that opening cartoon. It's clever. It's brilliant in every single way. It could be really higher on my list, but some of the films I do love, or I love maybe just a little bit more, but I don't know. This for the longest time it's tough to pick, to not to be in the top 10 is brutal to me, but the ones that are in the top 10, I just love as well. Right. But I dearly adore this film. Bob Hoskins is terrific. Of course, Jessica Rabbit. Oh my God. The scene in Toontown, the big battle. Christopher Lloyd is magnificent in this film. I could watch it over and over again.
Who I love. He's one of my.
Oh, he's fantastic. He's a great villain.
He was also in The Legend of the Lone Ranger. Thank you.
Yeah, he was, and he was in a lot of those. The guy's fantastic. And also, this is the first time he's been on my list tonight. He was in Buckaroo Banzai, of course.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, and so he's been on your list and my list. Now he's been on my list again. He was brilliant as Judge Doom. This movie's just fantastic. I love it so much. Again, it's the geek in me, the child in me, and yet they mixed. It's a brilliant mix of 40s, 50s detective noir fiction with animation. Yeah, it's just imaginative, and the more imaginative a film is, it just catches my eye, and it catches everything. It captures my heart and soul, and it has such a wonderful heart and soul, and just a sense of adventure and fun. And it's just love it. Based on the book by Gary Wolfe, who censored Roger Rabbit, of course.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Oh yeah, it was a book called, and in his original novel, they were cartoon strip characters, and when they would speak, a word balloon would pop over their head. It was weird.
Really?
Yeah. It was a novel from many years before this film.
So bizarre.
Yeah. But I always loved it. And again, today it would be all CGI-ish and shit,
Yeah.
But I think Robert Zemeckis, for a while there in the 80s, was on a tear directing brilliant films.
But he's very protective about his stuff. He's very protective. He says, he'll rip your throat out if you mention a Back to the Future remake.
Oh yeah, he's
like, no, not while I'm alive.
Good, and I love him for it. Absolutely. Hey, I think we're at the top 10, bud.
Yeah, it's getting serious now.
Are we at the top 10?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, everyone. Here we go.
Good time.
Well, yeah, buddy. Well, we don't have the time limits we used to, but we appreciate everyone. We love everyone being here.
Isn't that strange? We had time limits, and we would stick around for an hour on number 20, and then we get to number 1. We're like, oh shit.
Yeah, the old days. Those are over, man. You got all the time you want. I mean, whether anyone stays, but we hope you do, because we love seeing you all here tonight. And I love all the great movies you're all mentioning in there. Oh man, Scuba Pete, don't get me started on Support Your Local Sheriff at Kilbin to leave it off. I love that film. And I love Time After Time, Matthew Pounder. You guys are naming about a lot of
man, that's a good one.
I love Time After Time. A great film.
Yeah. Underrated.
It's brilliant. Okay, number 10 for you, Flash. All-time favorite movies.
Number 10 is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I think we've heard of it.
Yeah, that's a movie where when it came out, I was obsessed with it. I kind of like everybody else, kind of obsessed with it.
I still am.
And there was a weird thing that was going on with that movie too. We had to go 3 times simply because the film broke.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like 3 times. We had to keep going back. I think it was like the 4th time to where we actually got to see the movie uninterrupted. And man, what a great movie. I mean, wow. I what do you say? I mean, it's just
to me, it's
that
perfect.
movie. You got to know my grandfather to understand this. You had to have known him. Anything supernatural, he wants nothing to do with. Nope, I'm out. Not have any fear or anything. He just like it's stupid. It was stupid to him, right?
Right.
So, Raiders premiered on HBO, and I was watching it. My grandfather was there, and he became completely engrossed in this movie. And I'm like, he's not going to like the ending. He is not going to like the ending of this movie because he thinks this is just going to be some straight up action adventure movie. And when the swastika burns off the crate, I'm like, take a look at him, no reaction. I'm like, okay. And when the full blown supernatural element hits at the end, I'm like, oh, okay, well, we've lost him. We've lost him. Check it out. He watched it multiple times. The movie was so good that he overlooked it.
Nice.
And that's one of the great things about that movie. It's this action adventure movie, and then all of a sudden there's this big supernatural twist at the end. And that movie, you never knew what was coming with that movie. I envy people who have not seen that movie for the first time.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? I envy
yeah.
people who haven't seen it before. I'm like, man, I wish I could see it again for the first time.
Well, I don't want to be spoilery, but it's a slight possibility we could hear from it again.
Ah, okay.
I don't. I'm not saying
deals.
I'm not saying that we are.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's possible.
Yeah, but I mean, man, I was like everybody else. I'm like, I want the hat, and I want the whip, and I want this, and I want that. Yeah, such a great one. And you wanted to be Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah. Oh, I still do. I still want
I'm like, maybe I want to be an archaeologist.
It took me forever to find a halfway decent poster to download for it because you can't find. This is the best in the original poster, but I'll have some stories about that.
But I'm like, I think I want to be an archaeologist. And then you're
I love it.
That's not what it's really like.
It's to me, this film is a masterpiece. In which
so
again, it may come up again. You never know.
Right.
You just not. Am I saying it is? No, I'm just I'm saying. My number 10, I'm going to stick with the same director as I had last time, and that was Back to the Future. Same director of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. My God. I actually do like the 2 sequels, but there's nothing that can touch the original in this case. In the case of many films, that's the case, in my opinion. But just adore this movie. I cannot even count how many times I went to see this thing in 1985. It is one of those films you mentioned a little bit with Robert Zemeckis being very protective of it, and rightly so. What a streak he had in the 80s. That guy directed. Oh, yeah. Let's see. I can name
no wrong.
He directed a great comedy called Used Cars, which almost made my list.
Love that movie.
A fun movie called Romancing the Stone, which was really great.
Love that movie too.
Then Roger Rabbit. I mean, then he later did the second 2. Which even if you don't like them as much as this one, they're highly entertaining. That guy had a run, man. And this one is probably maybe his best. I mean, it's almost like a tie with Roger Rabbit for me for his best. This film has captured the imaginations of generations. It is one of the most beloved films, rightly so, just like the one you were just talking about, that will ever exist, ever. And you could go on about it forever, but everyone knows it. It is so ingrained in our culture, like, again, the film you were just talking about, that it doesn't need a lot of talking about it. It's just there. It's just fantastic.
And nobody wanted a DeLorean when they first come out. Now everybody wants one.
Yep. Shout out to my great buddy, my retroblasting buddy, Michael, who has one. And let's see here. So number 9, man.
Number 9, we've got a repeat, and that's MASH.
Oh my goodness! Oh, you have it even higher than I do, and I love it.
I have it even higher.
Go for it, man.
Have it even higher. Love that movie. Love it.
It's just Now I want to go watch it again. I have a pretty nice Blu-ray of it.
I do too. Yeah, I got the collector's set. Got the big 2-disc thing.
Should have won Best Picture that year, but the one that beat it was great. Even though it's not on my list, Patton's great.
Who beat it?
Patton.
Was it Patton?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty deserving, I thought. So, so you got anything more you want, or are you good on that?
Nope.
I'm
proud of the time we're making.
Oh yeah, well the time doesn't bother me, but sure, yeah, absolutely.
No,
but, the audience might want
for us.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. So we're my 9 then, right?
Yes.
Or your 9? My 9.
That was my number 9. It's now your number 9.
Oh, okay. Wait, I thought I got something backwards. Maybe let's see. Okay. No, okay. I got you. I got you. You're Ryan. Yeah, MASH. Okay. My number 9 is who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. My God. Again, this is just like this is right up there, almost on the same exact level with, or if maybe not even almost, same exact level with Back to the Future and Raiders. It is so ingrained into the culture. We don't have to say much about it. One of the perfect comedies that first film that mixes comedy with a little bit of spooky stuff, but never forgets it's a comedy. And could you get a better cast? Can you get a better ensemble team like that? That's like modern day equivalent of the Marx Brothers, kind of perfect.
Yeah, everybody talks about Bill Murray, but man, what an underrated talent Harold Ramis is, and Dan Aykroyd, this was his baby. This was his dream project, because he's a big, really into the paranormal.
Yeah,
and this was his baby, and this was his dream project with his good friend Belushi, who unfortunately passed away and before the film was made, and of course that part went to Bill Murray, and it would have been a very different movie, I think, with Belushi. But just one of them. Yeah, well, we may hear from it again.
Phantom Outsider.
We may.
Next Wednesday, which is usually the open geek talk. I'll tell you what, I'll do that. I will do it what we call an honorable mentions show. That'll be like a general one if Flash is available, and we'll see if he wants to. And we'll do that rather than doing it in a list form. We'll talk about a lot of other great films that we'd hate to leave off. So that'll be the follow-up show next Wednesday.
Yeah, man, we'll get some other people involved too.
Yeah. We'll talk there. We'll get everybody. We'll let people throw films at us, because we're doing the list now, so I can't really put up everyone's great things. So next week, after we'll do the follow-up honorable mentions list. It won't be a list. Won't be a list. We'll just name a bunch of films that we love that killed us to leave off the list.
Yeah.
So, love this film. Where are we at now? Where are we?
8.
We're at 8. Okay, go for it. Number 8, bud.
I said that I envy anybody who has not seen Raiders for the first time. This is a movie that I really envy somebody who has not seen it or knows nothing about it, and that's Psycho. Wow, what that's, when you talk about a masterpiece, in my opinion, this is his masterpiece. A lot of people say it's North by Northwest, or it's this or that. Psycho is just an amazing movie. It's just terrific performances. The biggest twist, and one of the biggest twists in movie history. I mean, of course, it came from a novel, but man, first time, do you see that coming? Probably not. But the direction in this movie is just astounding. Just astounding. The scene I always point to, there's a scene where Norman Bates is talking to Marion Crane in the parlor, and you can see him slowly start to unravel a little bit, and you think, well, he's angry, with his mother. Of course, you don't know what's going on yet, but there's this brilliant direction where there are 2 birds on the wall, because Norman's hobby is taxidermy. And there are 2 birds on the wall. And at certain times, Perkins will lean forward, and you'll see both birds. And that's when Mother is with him. Back, to obscure the other bird, and that's when it's Norman. Just little things like that. This movie is so good. I mean,
Yes.
there are much smarter people than me that can go onto a big diatribe about this and this and this and that, and we'll break this down, we'll break that down.
Yeah.
But man, what a film! What an amazing movie. Which, by the way, has a very decent sequel in Psycho 2. I really like Psycho 2 a lot.
That I've never seen, but of course I've seen it.
I really like Psycho 2. It's a worthy sequel. It's a very worthy sequel.
Wow. There you go.
You're like, how do you do a sequel to Psycho? Psycho 2 is really good. I actually really love Psycho 2 a lot. But Psycho is just amazing. Just an amazing film. I don't think there's anybody out there who doesn't know the twist. But man, I envy you if you don't and you're watching it for the first time, because man, what a shocker.
Andy Driven to Jill, good to see you. Thank you for popping in. Paraded, what's up, buddy? I hope you're not wasting away again in Margaritaville, searching for that lost shaker of salt. I know, I do it to you every time, buddy. It's great to see you, man. Yeah, it's gross. It's extraordinary. I haven't seen that in a long, long time, and I have not seen the sequel. It also represents one of the most absolutely ludicrous decisions in Hollywood history.
Yeah.
When Gus Van Sant.
Yeah, what was that all about?
A scene-for-scene remake of this. What is wrong with you?
Well, it was a total gimmick, and I'll tell you how much of a gimmick it was. This is how much of a gimmick it was. I was in the theater business at that time. We were instructed not to start this remake of Psycho, the first show, until a specific time, so it would coincide with the exact date and the exact time that opens the movie. And I'm like, wow, this is so gimmicky.
Yep.
So when it would flash the time and the date at the beginning of the movie, that's what time and date you would be watching it. And you would go, oh, isn't that cool?
Jesus.
And I'm like, I already screened the movie. Of course, we had to screen everything when we got it. I'm like, oh boy.
Why watch that? You can watch the real one.
You know, that's the thing. You know, we're talking about Anthony Perkins and his great performance, and how you would, if you hadn't seen the movie before, you don't know that Norman is the one behind all this. But Vince Vaughn plays it so horribly that even if you've never seen Psycho before and this is your first exposure, you would know that it was Norman doing it. You know what I mean? Because he's so over the top and so bad in it, and it's just like, this guy's obviously crazy. Whereas Perkins, you don't get the idea he's insane. He's just,
right,
an oppressed son. But Vince Vaughn completely blows it.
Of course. My number 8 is Forbidden Planet.
An old chiller theater staple.
The precursor to Star Trek, folks. Good God, how do I love this movie? Let me count the ways. From Robbie the Robot to the great performance by Walter Pidgeon to the extraordinary, impossibly lovely Anne Francis. Great captain performance by Leslie Nielsen. 1956, the special effects still hold up to be just terrific. The sets and the scene, the backdrops and the paintings of the backdrops, the wonderful story. I know a lot of people liken it to Shakespeare's The Tempest, I guess, and I can see what they're saying. The great story about the Krell and all this kind of stuff. Again, it's very inspirational to Star Trek, as Gene Roddenberry's even talked about. This is just, it's got to be one of the greatest science fiction films of all time. And here's the thing about that, though. A great science fiction film later is one thing. A great science fiction film when almost all of them were schlock. 90-some odd of them were schlocky and not taken seriously by the studios and not considered to be anything but kiddie junk. This one was filmed and it was thoughtful, intelligent, and brilliant and beautiful. And I love Forbidden Planet. And I love Robbie.
Yeah. Why I mentioned it was a chiller theater staple. Yeah. It aired a lot on chiller theater. And then in an interview, Bill Cardille said that it was one of his favorite movies. So they got a lot of airtime on chiller. Yeah.
Nice. Still have a really great old DVD set of it with a tin can type thing. It's a beautiful late anniversary edition of it, and I just they have at Walmart still out there in some Walmarts. There's a big, huge Robbie the Robot toy that walks and talks that you can get for like $15, $20 that I had to have. I got it a while back. I love it. Dee Dee Myers. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm glad. I love it. Just it's a great movie. Let's see where we. Oh, here we go. Now we're at 7.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen,
I
am proud.
I knew it was going to happen.
The first.
It happens all the time.
The first tie of the evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice.
Our number 7 is the same, and that is Star Trek to the Wrath of Khan.
We always have a tie.
We always have a tie at least once.
At least one.
I was
Every
not
list
expecting.
has at
We
least
never
one
expect
tie.
it. Right, we never expect it. It just happens.
No, we don't plan this.
What can you say, dude? Go for it. I'll let you go first.
Well, I love Star Trek the motion picture.
I do too.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't like it. And critics didn't like it. Then Star Trek 2 comes along, and it's a game changer.
Yes.
Probably saved Star Trek. Without a doubt, saved Star
Could be.
Trek.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Not even could be. It did. 70 Rock fan, what's up, 70s?
Because the motion picture, not what people expected. I love it. A lot of people love it. But it's not what people wanted, I think. They wanted the crew back, but it felt a little sterile to them or a little slow or whatever. Then the Wrath of Khan comes along. And yeah, man, what a game changer. And it's like, now this is old Star Trek. This feels like the original series. This feels right.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, just the character interactions, the friendship between Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, the Kirk's midlife crisis. He's feeling old. There's some great character, and Shatner knocks it out of the park in this movie. By the way,
he's
brilliant. What a great performance he turns in. I mean, everybody's good in it, but man, he really nails it.
Absolutely.
And you've got a terrific villain, great premise, suspense, humor, action, thoughtfulness, ideas. Kind of sounds like Star Trek, doesn't it?
Very Trek.
Very Trek. Very. It took everything that was great about the show and squeezed it into 2 hours. Boom, we'll take this, and we'll take this, and we'll take this. This is why people love the show, and this is why people love the show, and we'll jam it in 2 hours. We'll take everything from every aspect of Star Trek and put it in 2 hours. And it's timeless. It's classic. It's one of those, everything is going to happen. How many times can you watch this movie? I don't care. I'll watch it 1,000,000 times.
Me too.
And the 1,000,000th time, still so emotionally invested that, when the climax comes, you're like, oh man, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch this. Can I turn this off now? Can we just stop right here?
Which I can't.
Yeah, which I can't.
You can't.
You just want to. I don't want to watch this. It's like Star Trek 3 with the Enterprise blowing up. You're like, I don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
Can we? I'll leave the room for a minute. But yeah, what a great movie. All the best aspects of Star Trek. You throw in a little Moby Dick. Throw in some high seas. Naval adventure. It's got it all. It's got it all.
One of the most remarkable things about this film is to me, because obviously everything you said, it is pure Trek. It is pure joy. I love the motion picture as well. On Saturday night, Raquel and I will be reviewing not only the theatrical cut, but also the director's cut. And then we're doing 2 movies this week, that one and this, because we're reviewing all of Trek, everyone. For those who do not know, we're reviewing all of Star Trek. We just got done with the animated series. So we're starting the movies now. And one of the most remarkable things about this film to me is if you really, really boil it down, there's not that much action.
No.
In terms, almost no fisticuffs. Kirk roughs houses with his son for 5 seconds, for 2 seconds. No confrontation between Kirk and Khan physically. ships shooting each other a little bit, and yet it's nonstop excitement. It is pure excitement because of the way this film builds tension brilliantly, and it excites you without having. And look, I love Star Wars, as we all know, and we love action. Star Trek can have action sometimes, and this one there's really not a lot of action, like shooting, like people shooting at each other. Kirk having a big cool Kirk fight like he did with Khan in Space Seed or whatever. It's all implied, and it's all down to writing and tension and scripting and directing. This film's a masterpiece.
Yeah,
like everything in my top 10 to me, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, without question, the best of the movies.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 6. What is your number 6?
My number 6 is The Exorcist. And
now I'm getting scared, but you scared me with all of your movies.
when it comes to horror, you don't get much more hardcore than this. But you know, the movie absolutely terrified me when I was younger. Not so much now, because I see the movie in a different way now. I'm not a spiritual person or a religious person, but I like the themes that are running through the movie. Now I view the movie in a different way. It's weird. The movie has changed for me. Where earlier it was just, you know, the scariest thing I'd ever seen in my life, and now it's become, oddly enough, just a character study. You know what I mean? You've got this mother who's trying desperately to save her daughter, and while it's not, you get the feeling at the beginning of the movie she's not a spiritual person, but when all avenues have been exhausted, you know, to help her daughter, you know, it's like, you know, it's like the Sherlock Holmes thing, you know, eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, you know, and it comes down to medicine's not helping, you know, it's not medical, it's not psychiatric, it's something much more sinister. And she enlists the aid of this priest who has lost his faith, and he's just like her. He thinks, you know, possession and exorcisms are nonsense, and it's just it's one of those movies. It's like I was talking about with Dawn of the Dead. It's a slow burn.
Yeah, and
it takes its time building and building and building, which I think is necessary because you need to, you know, feel sorry for this girl. You know, I have to get to know this girl, and the performances are just astounding. And let's not make any mistake. It's still terrifying. It's still a very scary movie. It's very unsettling, very disturbing. Yes. The makeup is disturbing. The sound design is Mercedes McCambridge with that voice, and it's just it's not, you know, it's not something that you tend to watch by yourself in a dark room.
No.
And, you know, like, I understand, like, the younger generation says that, you know, the current generation, it's not scary. Well, you know, of course not. You know, it was a different time. You guys have seen everything now. You've seen it all. I mean,
right.
You're seeing people get killed, you know, on the internet or something, for real or something. The devil's not going to scare you now. But, yeah, it's a really, really, really powerful movie that you can watch one of two ways. You can watch it as a straight up horror movie, or you can watch it for, you know, a different reason. And so The Exorcist is my number 6.
Well, scared the crap out of me every time I see it. Even in 2000 when they brought it back with the extended stuff at the movie theater. You and I've talked about that a lot. And oh, man, it's the start. And you know, I don't like horror films either. So can I say I respect it and think it's great, and yet, man, it's tough for me to warm up to it because it's just so disturbing. Tough to sit through, but it's great.
It's tough to sit through,
yeah. But
there's some envelope pushing going on.
Yes, absolutely. My number 6 is Planet of the Apes, 1968 only, because there is no other one. Only. Charlton Heston, Roddy McDowall. What, are you kidding me? Yeah, just enough said. Well, Maurice Evans. Good God, I love this movie again. And everything in my top 10 is no secret that I've watched a billion times. everything from, of course, the great performance by Heston and McDowell and Kim Hunter and Maurice Evans, actually, to the just magnificent story that Rod Serling helped work on a little bit, to the brilliant Jerry
I think it
Goldsmith
was a
score.
lot.
A lot.
That novel's not that good.
Oh yeah, the Jerry Goldsmith story is great, by the way. But yes, the novel by Pierre Bol, and not only that, which was called Monkey Planet. Monkey Jeebus, by the way.
It's not great.
Hey there, Monkey Jeebus. Good to see you. But yes, it was not a great. Well, I mean, a lot of people. I mean, it got the movie made, so that's fine. But I've seen over the years 3, 4, 5, maybe I've lost count how many scripts were written for this thing. Because the Doug Wildey cartoon of the early 70s called about Planet of the Apes is actually closer to the book, in the sense that they have a little bit of technology the apes do, right? They did so much, they changed so much from the book. But I'm a big apophile, even though obviously I'm to varying degrees the other 4 films in that run. And I actually love the TV series. I'm one of those that loves the TV series, and I like the cartoon. It was fun to watch as a kid. It's different now, but this movie is one I can watch over and over again. Like a lot of these films on my list, super quotable. Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape! With one of the greatest classic endings of a film ever conceived of in the history of cinema, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
I just love it. It's a classic. So, yep.
I'm a big fan too.
I can't tell you how many times I've watched it, dude. Love it. Number 5, bud.
My number 5 is Ghostbusters, which, if people know me, that's no surprise. I adore this movie. I love it so much. I never get tired of it. Never get tired of it. So yeah, Ghostbusters is my number 5, and I think we covered it pretty well.
Unless you got more to say, bro, of course.
No, I think we got it.
Well, my number 5 is this is probably, I don't know if this is a film you've probably never heard of. It's a little independent film that you're gonna kind of think it's weird because I know for sure you've never heard of it and you're not familiar with it. It's called Jaws. I don't even think anyone you've ever heard of it. Probably it's very obscure.
Very obscure, yeah.
So stick with me on this.
I'll try.
Yeah, I think some director named Stiegelberg or something. I think directed it in 1935. Was it something like that? Maybe 25. No, maybe it was 45.
Okay.
And it was about an alligator that attacked people out in the. Oh, I've got it all. What can I say? And more will be said later. So I'm simply going to leave it. You don't even have to say much about Jaws. More will be said about it, I'm sure. This movie is, like many in my list, a masterpiece, a brilliant film that I've watched. I watched it. I saw it in the theater when it first came out. I never get tired of it. It never gets old. This is one of the greatest movies ever made, and I adore it. So we'll just say that for now, and because I can't really.
He's being gracious is what he's doing because he's not wanting to steal my thunder.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Spoiler warning.
I do not know what you're talking about, sir. I don't know. Number 4, buddy.
Number 4 is The Empire Strikes Back.
Never heard of it.
Trust me, you'll want to hear about this one.
We might hear about it later too.
This is where I cheated again. I had to cheat here because with only 25, I'm like, there's 3 movies that are going to take up 3 spots, so I'm gonna pick my very favorite of those 3, and it's The Empire Strikes Back. I mean, who didn't love Star Wars? I loved Star Wars. I loved it. Then Empire comes along, and man, what a game changer! You're like, what? Man, did not see it coming. Right? You think it's just going to be, it's just another little fun adventure with Luke and Han and Leia and the droids and Chewie, and they're going to go on another adventure. Oh no. It's the middle part of a trilogy, which tends to be, where the bad stuff happens, and boy, does it happen. They never win one time in this movie, and it's like I said, I had to condense it because I didn't want three slots. But as a
What?
whole,
Uh-huh.
I mean, the trilogy is just amazing, especially the character of Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, my two favorite characters. And I don't know, I got this weird feeling we'll probably hear from it. But,
I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm not
I
sure.
don't
I
know.
don't think I've ever heard of this movie.
I just got an odd feeling. So
I don't know. I've never heard of this one.
I don't know.
My
One of
number.
those hunches.
You probably never heard of this one. This again, a very obscure film coming up, folks. I'm sorry to keep springing these art films, these really hoity-toity like art
See,
films.
now you're getting snotty.
It's called. I think
Kane.
it's called The Star Wars or something like that.
Okay.
It's there's no bloody New Hope or any of that kind of crap. It's called Star Wars, and it's a well. Again, do you have to talk about it much? It's just an absolutely wonderful, wonderful film that changed the world. Just as Jaws changed the world, so did this. I mean, this could change it even more. Changed cinema. It is, a lot of people, because of what has gone on with the horrible sequel trail of filth, which we won't talk about here because we're talking about things we love. A lot of people say that these old films are ruined for them because of that. And I feel for you. I understand that's not the case with me, though. I still can watch these and blot those out of my mind and watch them over and over again. And I dearly love this film so much. I cannot. Obviously, the theatrical version is preferred by me. So I dearly, dearly love Star Wars. Number 3, bud.
My number 3 is The Dark Knight. I really, really loved Batman Begins, especially after Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. So I really, really, really loved Batman Begins. This was tough because I think I liked them equally, but Heath Ledger kind of pushes it, gives it that little extra.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's that little bit of extra that's in The Dark Knight, and I'm just to this day, I've seen this movie countless times, countless times, and I'm still enthralled by his performance. And it's not just his performance. I like the story of the movie. I think the movie's got a good story. But man, he just blows it out of the water. And sometimes a performance will transcend the movie. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And lift it to a whole nother level, to where I think The Dark Knight was good. But then you throw him in, and for me, it makes it great. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
He just elevates the whole thing. I don't even recognize Heath Ledger. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't even recognize it. I don't see Heath Ledger, not once. I see Christian Bale. I see Michael Keaton. Michael Caine. I see Morgan Freeman. I don't see Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
He is completely vanished into this character. And it's such an amazing performance, and I love it, and I never get tired of it. And sometimes I will just watch isolated scenes of that movie. I'll be on YouTube. I'm like, I want to watch the interrogation scene, or I want to watch this, or I want to watch that. Just a whole nother level. I mean,
yeah, he's terrific.
He's amazing, scary and enthralling, and not in it too much. That's the great part about it. He's not constantly in the movie. Just there enough. Just when you start to miss him, he comes back in.
Yeah.
I mean, this could have become the '89 Batman movie, where it's all Nicholson. I mean, that's another problem I have with that movie. It's like, it should be called The Joker, because that's what it's all about. But here he doesn't take the movie over, and that's a wise decision by Christopher Nolan. because he could have easily let this character take over the whole movie. But it's not just that. I mean, I like Aaron Eckhart's Two-Face and everything in the movie. Gary Oldman's fantastic as Jim Gordon. Looks like he stepped right out of the comic book.
Yeah, he is great.
Yeah, just a terrific, terrific movie, and I love it so much. So, yeah, The Dark Knight's my number 3.
Indeed. My number 3 is, where are we? Oh, yeah. I almost forgot my number 3. No, just kidding. My number 3 we've already heard of, and that is, of course, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Another small, tiny film. You all may have heard of it. This, like Star Wars in 77, this film played in theaters for over a year, folks.
Yeah, movies used to do that.
I can't tell you how many times I went to see it. But on the opening day when I went to see it, I don't remember where we were, but we were on vacation somewhere, my whole family. And because I've been reading about this and Clash of the Titans by Ray Harryhausen in Starlog magazine, they were both opening on the same day, at least where I was. Films back then opened at different times. So I went to see Clash of the Titans in the daytime because I'm a huge Ray Harryhausen fan. Hey there, Pod Race and Palpatine. Good to see you. And of course, loved it and everything. But I guess I was about, I don't know, something like 16 or whatever when this came out. And I went to 16, 16, whatever it was. But then that night, my whole family, I just went to see that by myself, Clash. But the whole night, my whole family, we went to the theater to see Raiders of the Lost Ark. They didn't really know much, but I read a few things about it in Starlog magazine, of course, and it was Harrison Ford, no one expected something this great. You thought, man, it looks interesting enough, but who knew? Who in 1981 knew it would be this great? And by that first scene, it grabs you.
Oh, yeah.
And then I've never, I to this day have never been in a movie theater that laughed for as loud, as long, and as hysterically as when Indy shoots the sword guy.
You couldn't hear anything for 5 minutes.
You couldn't hear anything 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it was, and I couldn't breathe. And I think everyone was the same way. I was like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like it. It's one of the greatest movie moments in all of history of the cinema. But we all know the story. Harrison Ford was sick that day, or whatever. Just said, why don't I just shoot him? But it turned out to be one of the. You can't even think about it without breaking up laughing. It's so great.
It's perfect comedic timing.
Oh, it's perfect. Perfectly filmed. Because as you know, you've seen scenes like here and there, like behind the scenes stuff with him messing around with the whip, swinging the whip at the guy and all this kind of crap. And I want to just shoot him. It's just beyond belief. You can't get any better. You cannot make an ad lib anything any better than that.
No.
And I just adore every inch of this film. I think this is a perfect film. Then I went again, whenever we would go especially that summer when we used to go see, get dropped off or go to actually I was driving by then. I would drive to the movies on Saturdays and go see a bunch of movies. And I go see one or two other films. And if Raiders was playing, I'd we'll watch it again. And I just love it. So, where we bees now? We're at number 2, folks.
Yeah, we're at number 2.
Number 2. Then you number 2. What is your number 2, buddy?
My number 2 is Goodfellas.
You think I'm funny? I amuse you?
You think I'm funny? I amuse you? That's another one of those things where it's constant. It's constant quoting of this movie it extends to my whole family, actually. But I adore this movie. I love it so much. This story of this kid, of course, it's a true story. This kid who so desperately wants to be part of the mob, because he thinks it's glamorous and it's exciting, and these guys have respect, and he sees all this as a kid, much like the real Henry Hill. That look at these guys, they got all the money, they're living the life. I want to be that. And then when he gets into it, he finds out it is not the glamorous lifestyle that he thought it was, and it's just harrowing. I mean, it's moments of brutal violence but the oddest thing about Goodfellas, and I'm sure the real people were not like this, but in Goodfellas, even though they're criminals, you like these guys. You know what I mean? You like them. They're bloodthirsty criminals, but you like them. and it's from the performances in the movie and the direction and things like that. But it's just one of those movies that I never get tired of watching. I never, ever, ever get tired of watching. I don't think I'll ever get tired of watching it. Just everybody from Leota to De Niro to Pesci to you name it, just wonderful performances and great direction. That one great shot, that continuous shot of them walking into the restaurant, just really all the work that went into that. It's just really, really, really. I mean, it's genius. When you talk about a masterpiece, I think that's his masterpiece. I think that's Scorsese's masterpiece. People would name other movies, but I think it's this one. So Goodfellas is my number 2.
Well, Monkey Jeebus says my grandfather. Wow, my friend's grandfather was in the mob. He played Bella Oxmix in Star Trek. Anthony Caruso.
Whoa, really?
Are you kidding me? That's awesome. I mean, Anthony Caruso was in a lot of stuff. Not just, but of course he was in a great episode, Piece of the Action. Wow, that's cool, dude. Bella. Well, you're gonna wrap me in the mouth for this one, but I've never sat through all this movie before.
Really?
I just don't like gangster movies. There's nothing against this. I don't. So I mean, I didn't avoid it.
That's not your genre.
Yeah, but I mean, not that I wouldn't, and I respect it because it's one of the most quoted movies ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that speaks to it because you don't have to have seen it to know that exchange, that quote.
Well, movies become quotable because you've watched them so many times. You know
or I mean? Other people show that scene and quote it all the time. So how am I fucking funny? Do like I'm a clown? I amuse you? That scene? You don't have to have seen that film. It's sort of like, are you talking to me? Nobody else is. You don't have to have seen that film to know that quote.
No, actually, last week in trivia, we play trivia every Thursday night. That was one of the questions. I was the first one up there. There's my answer.
Oh my goodness. Well, my number 2 is the one that will make you believe a man can fly. Superman the movie, 1978. What can I say? Let's see, about a 14-year-old kid who loves Superman, who's been reading that there was going to be a Superman film for years in the DC Comics. Superman movie, I stopped believing it was going to happen by then, right? Then, of course, when the adverts started hitting the television, you will believe a man can fly. Well, I couldn't wait. Oh, I just couldn't wait. And I get in there, but and I wasn't the skeptic that I am now because I was 14 years old. But I didn't know what to expect either.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and it opens up with a little black and white a little girl announcing in the decade of the 1930s, the Daily Planet, all that stuff. And I'm sitting there just kind of okay, because I'd always was a big fan of the, George Reeves television series, The Adventures of Superman. So that kind of gave that kind of vibe when it opened up with that little black and white, better than the old style looking Daily Planet.
Right.
And then when that music, that John Williams score was boom, 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 boom. You all know it. I don't know even what planet you're from if you don't know it.
Yeah.
When that big red S blasts onto that screen, I felt like I was knocked like 30 feet into the back wall of the theater, as they say. That was it. That hit me so hard. That big, beautiful, gigantic red S, and then those wonderful blue credits in that glorious score that no other superhero theme could ever compare to. I went over 20 some odd times to see that film at the theater when it came out. And that was before I could drive. So I used to have my grandmother drop me off at the theater or whatever. I conned my grandmother. Again? Yeah. I'd con her to drop me off at the theater on Saturdays during the, when it was, whenever I had the weekends and stuff like that, off from school and stuff, and see it over. And it had to be 18, 20 times, whatever it was. I just adore it. Christopher Reeve. There will never be, in my opinion, a better casting of a superhero than Christopher Reeve. And I love George Reeves. Love him. And I love Adam West, as you know. And I love other castings. I think Chris Evans is fantastic as Cap, in spite of what a dork he is. But so I think there are a lot of great castings. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think I could ever love one more than the casting of Christopher Reeve as Superman. And I love this film. so much that it's just oh, there you go. Because I love Superman, so there we go.
Yeah, but don't you love Superman 2 more?
You know how much I do not like Superman 2. You know, I hate me some Superman 2.
I start a little bit of trouble.
Nah, it's fine. I can take it. So guess what, bud?
What?
We, sir, are up to number 1.
Ah.
And I don't have a recording of it. I wish I did, but I'm lazy, or I wouldn't know how to get one anyway over here. But anyone who ever used to listen to Dr. Demento, I always loved the part when he would do his countdown list. Yes, I'm old, I know, but some of you probably know who Dr. Demento was.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, by the way, yes, mentioning Superman. Yes, R.I.P. The great Ned Beatty, Otis Berg, actually, who just passed away. So I hail to him. But yes, as Dr. Demento would play that music, it's time for number 1. This is it. There we are, number 1. Boom. So, and if you don't remember that, I guess you had a life or something. All right, everyone. I will ask Flash now. Flash's number 1 all-time favorite movie. Drum roll. Go for it, bud.
Well, anytime we do these kind of lists, it's the least suspenseful moment ever, because anybody who knows me, even a little bit, knows that I will not shut up about this movie.
But they don't know you're here, though, so there you go.
I will not. I just will not shut up about this movie. I adore this movie. When people say, "What's your favorite movie?" and sometimes people, I never hesitate. It's an immediate answer. It's an emphatic answer. It's the same answer all the time. It's been the same answer since 1975. It'll be the same answer until the day I die, and that is Jaws. I love Jaws so much. Everything about this movie, people say there's no perfect movie. To me, Jaws is a perfect movie. I love this movie. I will take any chance I get to see it on the big screen. It'll pop up once in a while, which is how it was meant to be seen.
Yes.
It's one of those movies that was meant to be seen with a crowd on the big screen. It's a communal movie. You know what I mean? It's one. I'll watch it by myself anytime at all. But it's one of those movies that's communal, and you thrive off of each other. And I will tell you, I have been to see it several times on the big screen, long after it's released, and it still works. Yeah. People still scream. They jump. They laugh. They're so invested in this movie, and we were talking about Monkey Planet. It's a movie that's so much better than its novel, because the novel stinks. The novel's horrible.
The novel is really messed up.
The novel's awful.
It is bad.
I don't know how this movie got made based on that novel, because the novel stinks. Terrible. The characters are so unlikable. I'm like, I hope the shark gets all of them. I hope he kills everybody. I hope the shark's the last man standing at the end of this movie, because at the end of this book, they all suck.
Nice.
They're all terrible. They're all horrible characters. They're all unlikable. And Spielberg comes in and just does perfect casting. Like, it's one of those movies where I can't imagine anybody else playing these parts.
No,
I can't imagine anyone else playing these parts.
No way at all. No.
Hey, do you know this person was up for this role? I'm like, well, I would have sucked. You know what I mean? I would have been terrible. I don't like that. But I love this movie so much. I mean, everything from the acting to the screenplay to the direction, the music. I mean, when you talk about iconic, it doesn't get much more iconic than that theme. I mean, that'll keep people out of the water. That'll keep people out of a swimming pool. Yep. And the movie is you're so engrossed in this movie. Let's not make any illusions here. The shark is fake, and you don't care. You don't care.
Nope.
You do not care that it's basically a big puppet. It's a big animatronic that refused to work. Bruce was a dick, okay? Bruce was a diva. Bruce refused to come out of his trailer most of the time. I'm not coming out if Dreyfus is out there. I'll stop being my trailer. They invest all this money in this shark, and it immediately sinks to the bottom of the ocean. They got to dredge it back up, and the shark never worked. It never worked, and so Spielberg had to work around it.
Yep.
And in very creative ways, and it makes the movie so much better. Spielberg says many times, I think if I had the shark the whole time, the movie would not have been as good. And I agree. I 100% agree. It creates so much tension. You don't even see the shark until about an hour into the movie. And, but the movie's so good and the characters are so engrossing, you don't care. And when the shark does make his appearance, man, it is epic.
Well,
I don't know what to say.
You and I have talked about that before. The John Williams score is so brilliant that the music is the shark.
It is the shark, yeah.
It is the shark. This is the only soundtrack or movie score I've ever seen that is actually a character in the film.
Yeah.
That's what's
in
so
many,
great.
many ways. The shark had his theme. And then, when Brody and Hooper and Quint come together and start to work together to track the shark down, all of a sudden it turns into like a pirate movie. You got this big, this kind of fun music going along with this, Spielberg said, he said, it sounds like a pirate movie. And it does. It sounds like a pirate movie when they're chasing the shark. But that's the great thing about this movie. They don't cheat either because they don't fool you. Like, they don't play the theme if the shark's not there.
No.
You know what I mean? They never lie to you. If you hear that theme, the shark's there. But I adore this movie. I mean, I love it so much. And my wife's sick of hearing about it. She's sick of seeing this movie. She's sick of hearing me talk about it. Everybody's sick of hearing me talk about this movie, but I just won't shut up about it. And now I've started a tradition on the 4th of July or right around there, whether it's, whichever is more convenient, whether it's the 4th of July, or whether it's my birthday, which are very close together, I do an outdoor screening of Jaws. I have a projector. Nice. and we project it outside and it's a great time. And I never get tired of it. And when I say I've seen the movie countless times, I honestly could not guess how many times I've seen it. I couldn't even guess. And I never get sick of it. Never get sick of it.
Me either.
So Jaws is my number one.
And a wonderful number one it is too, man. This is a great film. I remember sitting like an idiot. We were kids when this came, obviously 75, sitting in the front row like a dumbass. It was a crowded theater. And my cousin, when the head pops out of the boat, and then it's at the scene where they're swimming under the water, there was Hooper.
Yeah.
Under the water, and the head pops out of the boat. My cousin spilled his drink all over me.
Well, my mother screwed up because my aunt had already warned her about that scene. And
oh, shit.
My mother went to hide my eyes, and she put her hand over my eyes. And I'm like, what is she doing? And she must have thought, oh, this isn't the right scene. And she pulled her hand away. Well, right as she pulled her hand away from my eyes is when the head popped out, which made it so much worse. Because she just pulled her hand away and there's that head. And it made it worse. I'm like, thanks, Mom. You just made it so much worse. But like I said, it's a communal movie. Like I said, I've seen it many times since on the big screen, and it always gets a reaction out of the audience every time to this day. So it still works.
It's a wonderful masterpiece. It is. And as always, when we get toward the top of this list, we start repeating ourselves. Like one will talk about one a little bit before the other one does. Our 1 and our 4 flip flop. My 4 was your number 1. My 4 was your number 1. Your 4 was my number 1, which is, of course, again, tiny film. Some of you may not have heard of it. It's called Star: The Empire Strikes Back Wars. Almost interchangeable with Superman, the movie for me, but I guess it's slightly edged out here. Again, well, I lost track of how many times I saw it at the theater, somewhere over 15 to 20 times. Yeah, I mean, I was just started driving. I just got in a truck then, so I would drive to the theater every chance I would get. And, of course, since then, like you with Jaws, of course, I'm kind of in the same boat with Jaws as well. I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen it. And I can't tell you how many, most of these in my top 10. I couldn't put a number on how many times I've seen this. I love this film, of course, the theatrical. It means so much to me. I can't even put into words. Yes, of course, I love the 77 film, just, right there on the same level. But something about this one is just perfect. It's perfection. It's cinematic perfection for me. I guess if you want to try to find flaws here and there, it's so great. If you got one, I listen, I can hear it and go, oh, yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's cool, but still, I don't care. I love it. And I love every inch of it. So, yeah, we talked about that already. I mean, pretty much covered it. It's The Empire Strikes Back. There's not much to say. This is just one of the most wonderful films ever made in so many ways. And again, it's cannot be a coinky-dink that so many of our top films are scored by John Williams.
Oh, the master.
Yeah, I mean, I remember many years ago, and we couldn't do it here because of copyright things, but Flash and I did a show where we counted down our top 25 all-time favorite soundtracks or movie scores. And we both had Jaws at number one for a lot of reasons we just talked about. The music is not only brilliant, it actually it comes to life and plays the shark. It's a character in the film, which is never, I can't think of another movie where you could say that about. Maybe you could, maybe someone could. But this is also right up there with his greatest soundtracks, along with Superman, all three of his Star Wars scores of the original trilogy, many other great things he's done. But John Williams is just beyond compare when it comes to this type of film. And I love him, and I love The Empire Strikes Back. My number one all-time favorite film. So,
well, Williams is, he's the master. I mean, I would put him right up there with any classical musician you could name.
Yeah, he really is. And he got to start on TV as Johnny Williams. He worked on Lost in Space.
Johnny Williams, yeah.
He worked on Lost in Space and Land of the Giants and stuff like that for Irwin Allen. Well, there it is, folks. Man, I cannot tell you how much fun this has been for us. Believe me, even though we had to move fast and I wasn't able to address all the things you wrote in the chat, everyone, I've been enjoying it, what you've been putting in there. And you putting so many great movies. Every time, I just want you to know, my friends, in the best possible way, every time you put some movie in there that didn't make my list, I die a little bit inside.
Yeah.
Because I go, wow, that is a great movie. I feel bad that it's not here. But it's only 25, and you have to narrow it down, and it's not easy. But you all put, of course, some wonderful films in there that you all love because we just love. Remember how fun it used to be to love movies? And they don't make them anymore. It's almost like they don't make movies anymore in a sense. It's kind of sad, but good God. And look, be proud of me. I had one in the 21st century. I don't know. Did you have one in the 21st century? We had maybe one or two. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't think so.
Don't know.
You may not have, man. And that was an add-on from the last time. But I love so many films. So next Wednesday, if Flash's game, I'll do a mop-up either way. But if he is game, of course, we'll just throw out a bunch of movies that we love so much that could have just as easily been on the list, or some honorable mention type follow-up show next Wednesday night. We will do that. If you're game, buddy. If you can't make it, fine. But if you can, please do.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, man, it'll be great. Just to kind of mop up a little bit there. So show notes before we get out of here, everyone. Tomorrow, the Global Geek Gang shall gather again. It'll be 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, as always. And we'll have global geeking. Whatever we do, we'll do it. But it'll be fun. And, of course, Saturday night, my magnificent first officer, the extraordinary R.M. Raquel Briggs, and I love her so much. We've been having such a great time reviewing all of Star Trek. For those who do not know, if you happen to be new here, we were reviewing all of real Star Trek. It's 1966 to 2005 only real Star Trek. No filth that follows it under that name. It misuses that name. So 735 different installments when you add it all up, all the series. We have finished reviewing the original series. We just finished reviewing the animated series. We are now moving on to the original cast films. And this week, of course, at 9 p.m. Central, we will review Star Trek: The Motion Picture, both the theatrical version and the director's cut. And, of course, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And we hope you will join us for that. We have been having a terrific time. The chat just burns up, having so much. We're having so much fun with this, and we what we do is we review the films, and we'll have some special things this week because of the movies, and we review episodes, or in this case films, and then after we get through, we rate it on an A, B, C, D type of scale, and then we ask our chat to give their ratings, and we read theirs, and it's a lot of fun. It's very interactive, and it's just a blast for me, and I hope you guys have as much fun as Raquel and I do, and we love you for it. We love for hang out with us here for that. And it's just terrific. You guys are amazing. And let's see. And a long-range show note in August, since Marvel Comics will absolutely not celebrate the Fantastic Four properly, because we all know they won't. It's up to me and all of you, of course. If you're a Fantastic Four fan, you may not be, but it's 60 years. And so I've chosen August 8th, Sunday, August 8th, 4 p.m. Central, that I would to gather the Global Geek Gang to celebrate it, because that, of course, will be 60 years to the day that Fantastic Four #1 was released, which was released on August 8th, 1961. So we will celebrate, and because we love some FF. And one other quick note, my good friend, great friend of the channel, and great buddy, who is, of course, joins us all the time and is a member of the Global Geek Gang, Mark D with the C, just got older. I'm not going to say how old he is because I'm not sure if I know. But he is his birthday, well, today in his time zone. And my time zone, it hasn't happened yet. Now, tomorrow we'll definitely embarrass him some more on the Global Geek Gang. But happy birthday, brother. Appreciate you, man. I hope you're having a great night. And it's good seeing you here as always. I don't have track of all the names of everyone who was here tonight, but I want to say that I cannot thank you enough, everyone, for being here. Eric K, dude, appreciate you. D-Bud Martin, JT Kirk, Matthew Pounder, the great Pat S, Steve Mitchum was here. Scuba Pete, that 70s rock fan, the great Mark D with the C, as I said, happy birthday. Anti-Derivative Joe, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Cam, D-Bud Martin, did I mention you already? Oh, well. If I did, I'll mention you again because you're a good pal. Phantom Outsider was here. Monkey Jeebus, appreciate you. JT Kirk, buddy. Did I mention Jill? Anti-Derivative Jill probably did. Arwen Avalon was here earlier. Cam's here. Thank you. The great Snorta Poopas, Cuber. The wonderful, beautiful Purple Valkyrie popped in earlier. Janet from Another Planet was here. So many wonderful people that, with my horrible senile memory, I probably forgot most of them. Parrothead was here, though. Good to see you, Parrothead, brother. Always good to see you. Matthew Pounder, I don't know if I probably said your name already, but I forget these things very quickly. Wolfie, 762 was here. Thank you so much. I backtracked as much as I could to find out who all was here. It doesn't go all the way back, of course. So if I missed anyone, I apologize. I don't mean to, but again, I'm old and senile, and I forget names and stuff like that. So J-Man was here earlier. He had to run, but J-Man, if you do happen to listen to this on a repeat, buddy, appreciate you, man. Pod Racing Palpatine, thank you for popping in as well, buddy. I hope I covered everyone. Bruce Lombardo was here earlier also. So if I miss anyone, my apologies. It's just that I forget a lot of things, of course. Scuba Pete, did I miss you, man? Good to see you, buddy. So everyone, have a wonderful, great, and fantastic night. I really appreciate you. Rest in peace, Ned Beatty, the great Otis Berg. And everyone, take care now. And I will see you all in the Global Geek Gang tomorrow. Good night, everyone. Hang on a second.